to the torture chamber, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. It's just fantastic to be with you here on a Tuesday morning. You know, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, a couple days away. And I feel like the world is crumbling around my feet right now. I'll explain. Let me introduce the rest of the program first. That's Frank Marchese. He's filling in for Paul today, and that's it. It's me, and it's Frank. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How was your morning?
My morning was, I would say, a little bit hectic.
Really?
For me. I can walk all you guys through it. Honestly, the last 24 to 48 hours has been pretty hectic in my life, my personal life. And clearly very hectic in Ben's life, personal life as well. So this morning, you know, man, when I set the alarm, I set my alarm every day for about 4:12, and then I set it for 4:22, just in case I fall back asleep. And today was one of those days I did. And I just turned the alarm off at 4:12. I was like, you know what? It's Tuesday. It's before Thanksgiving. No one's listening. No one cares. Then I remembered yesterday when we logged on, I said, man, you know, the tier ones are nuts. They're still here. They're in the chat. They went crazy yesterday. Yesterday wasn't my favorite show, but, you know, we're there. We served our audience. And I said, it's important to this show that we serve our audience. So I'm laying in bed, 4:22, the alarm goes off, and I just give it the, like, all right, let's go. Let's get up. I opened my phone, and I went, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Ben Higgins, 3:28 a.m. Text me when you wake up. And I went, oh no. And then it says, his son Graham, who's, I think he's 19. Graham woke me up a little after 1 a.m. in the worst pain of his life in his upper abdomen. His lips were turning blue, and he was basically screaming and in tears. And he's not someone who he's someone who understates, not exaggerates. I rushed him to the ER, breaking a lot of traffic laws. They got him in and on pain meds, which started to help. Had a CT scan. They ruled out appendicitis, so they're running some blood tests, crossing our fingers that it was nothing. I'm doing all right, but the stress on the drive to the hospital was just the worst as a parent. I can't even imagine. Yeah. You see your kids in pain, and it doesn't really matter what age they are. And so he drives Graham in. He said he's actually feeling pretty close to normal. If they release him, I might be able to come into work, but it would be on like 90 minutes of sleep. I actually feel pretty decent, but that's probably the adrenaline. Listen, we're good here for the moment at least. So I wrote back, whoa. And he wrote, good morning. I said, should we bang the show entirely? And he said, that seems reasonable. Graham's actually feeling better. He's hoping to go home, but you know how the ER works. We may be here a while. And I said, all right, man. I said, well, so I laid in bed for a minute and was like, I went through all of the steps. Yeah, there's no reason to, we'll just bang it, right? And then I thought about what I said yesterday, and I'm like, you dumb bastard for opening your mouth. Audience is there. They're waiting for you. You owe it to them to get their day started the way they usually start it. Just because your day's out of whack doesn't mean that theirs should be as well. And then you go through the panic of, well, I don't have, even if Ben was here, we barely have enough to get through 2 hours, much less 4. It's just a slow week, man. It's just slow.
Yeah.
And so I said, man, it's going to heap a lot of pressure on Italian Paul as well. And then I laid there. I texted Frankie. Straight away, I go, hey, bro, go back to sleep. I said, I don't think we're going to do this today. And he said, okay, just let me know, right? And I said, all right. And then about 10 minutes later, I go, all right, let's give it a whirl. I talked myself into it, pumped myself up, got out of the bed, jumped in the shower, and was like, all right, man, I'm going to go in, and I'll just do my best. That's all I can do. You know, I thought about like, my kids. Like, oh, Dad's just going to take the day off. When the going gets tough, Dad just bails. Stupid kids, dude. They're always getting in your head. They're always getting in your head, making you overthink things. So I go, you know what, man? I'm going to go in, and it's probably going to suck. I'll tell you straight away. It's probably going to suck. But we're going to do the very best we can. We can rip some phone calls today. So I'm in the kitchen with Hannah making coffee, and she's like, you guys should just really go nuts. Like, open the phones. I go, well, I'd open the phones if anybody had anything they wanted to talk about. I said, I've always dreamed of doing an advice segment. Always. I've always wanted to do, hey, Woodsy, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through at home. My wife and I, my girlfriend and I, or I like this girl. You know, like a love line, like a little mini love line type show. I love that. I love that show. I would love to bring some of that to Ben and Woods. So think about it, you know, and if you want to call in, we have nothing but time. We've got time and space to get after it today. And so I called Adam first thing this morning. And it was probably 4:30. He didn't answer, which that's fine.
Fair enough.
That's fair enough. Yeah, it's early as hell. But yeah, so I don't know. I talked to Ben driving in, and I said, "Look, man, if you can make it, great. You know, ride in on the white steed and be the white knight. If you can't, that's also fine too. You know, we'll figure it out. Frankie and I will." And we got Jim Brogan coming in. And if you don't know Jim Brogan, he was an NBA basketball player. But what fascinates me about Jim, he's a tier 1 of the program. And he'll text Ben all the time. And I'm like, why don't you just have him in? And let's talk to him about what he does. Motivational speaker, mental health coach, which I'm so interested in.
Boy, did he pick a great day to be a mental health coach.
Bro, 100%. 100%. Just sit him down and go, Jim, all right, do your work. You know?
God help us, please.
God help us, please. So it's a really fascinating part of sports that I don't feel like we give enough time to. And every single year you find somebody that's like, oh, I spent my off-season training. A lot of golfers do it. Like, spent my off-season training with a mental health coach, a mental skills coach to help me in those big moments be able to come through. This is one of those moments. So I went through the whole gamut of emotions this morning laying in bed. I'm going to quit. I'm not doing it. I should do it. All right, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill it. Then the doubt creeps in. I mean, it's all of the above. It's really all of the above, Frankie. So I'm glad you're here. I do appreciate that. Obviously, I couldn't have done it solo because I don't know how to run really any of that equipment.
Well, you know, everyone has their own skills and everyone has their place, and I know this place is mine.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing, man, that's doming me out. This isn't exactly the best time for me personally as well. And I haven't talked a whole lot about it. Some cursory mentions here and there. But so my parents are in town from Texas, and my mom, Marcia, has just completed radiation for breast surgery or breast cancer. So she finished radiation. She's doing good. They get on a plane. They come out, and the really bummer, unfortunate news is that my mom had a bad reaction to something, and she spent Sunday night in the ER, same ER, and is not feeling very well. And her oncologist told her, we need you to come home. And so that's panic-inducing.
Yeah.
She says she feels better, but not quite good enough to stay. And so instead of being here they were supposed to be here 5 more days and leave on Saturday. And so now they're at the airport. They're heading home this morning. So that's a huge bummer. My kids are really disappointed and sad. You know, they love their Gabby and Pops. But, you know, all's well. I just want her to be rested, you know, and so watching 2 little kids that want to play all the time, it's probably not the ideal circumstances for her. We're obviously going to miss them. They may be listening right now. I love you guys. Get home safely. Sorry that it didn't work out. But so she's been in the ER. I'm terrified that I'm going to be in the ER within the next 72 hours because everybody I know has been in the ER you know, in the last couple of days. So they're heading back to Dallas this morning. And my dad, in typical dad fashion, I think his greatest concern, now that he's got my mom set up and settled, they asked what they can contribute to Thanksgiving. And Hannah said, oh, would you guys get the pies? My dad said, sure. So go down to the grocery store. They get like 5 or 6 pies. And they get, a couple of them are frozen. They need to be baked. A couple of them are ready to go. And he must have brought up the pies. In his mind, he's like, I bought 6 pies, but I'm not going to get to eat any of
Oh,
these
God.
pies. And I don't know that I probably can't return them. So somebody's going to be eating all these pies. I want to make sure these pies get eaten. So he, in his mind, he's sitting at the airport. He's probably listening right now going, I hope they get those pies today. Somebody needs to get those pies. I don't want those pies to go to waste. Okay? Somebody in the chat, Katie asked, did my dad get his hat yet? Funny you mentioned it. So, Frankie, you weren't here, but
No.
he called me last week and he ordered wanted to order a Ben & Woods hat, a white one. I said, yeah, just go to the merch store and plug it in. Well, he did, and then he called me back. He's like, I'll send it to your house. I said, no problem. He said, it may not be there in time for our, it may get there after our visit is over. Well, it came yesterday, and we opened it up, and he put it on, and he got his hat. So he's all happy that he got his Ben & Woods hat. I don't have to send it now back to Texas, so he's able to wear that today. But, Dad, I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, if you're listening, those pies will get eaten. They'll be picked up today. Your pies are safe. You did not flush all that money down the toilet. They will be enjoyed by people that you love. So we are going to handle business. We're going to handle business in here. We're going to handle business on Thursday with the pies. Pies will go to good use. All right? So I'm bummed. I hate that they're leaving. I was really looking forward to playing golf with him on Thanksgiving morning. And, but I want my mom feeling good. We're all going back for Christmas, me and my whole family, my brother and his whole family. So I think the thing I'm most concerned about is my mom going to be able to handle that? I don't, when it's cancer and things like that, it obviously raises up, gets you on your haunches a little bit. So I hope she's okay. I want to get home, get her taken care of, and that's really where it ends. But for such an easy, light, feed up week, it's been a bit challenging.
Yeah,
here.
It's always interesting how when things at work seem the easiest, things at home are always the hardest, and vice versa.
That's exactly right.
It's funny how that always seems to work out that way.
But every now and then you get those random weeks where things at home suck and things at work suck. This place, for me, if things at home are tough, if I'm having a hard time, if Hannah and I are butting heads, or my kids and I, which one of my kids we have been butting heads for the last 2 days.
As you do.
This place, for me, is always the sanctuary. I can come in and actually get it off my chest. But, listen, when Benny is out, my co-host, and I'm worried about his son. I'm worried about his son and that he's okay. I mean, honestly, you go in with symptoms like that, the first thing that popped to my head was, oh, he's about to lose his appendix.
Yeah.
That happened to me. And
kidney
I said,
stones
yeah,
too.
kidney stones. That could be another one. Oh, but it was the blue lips that really freaked me out, and the screaming and pain. So I hope Graham's okay. It sounds like he's doing better. Benny, if you're listening, look, if you can make it in, make it in. If you can't, no big deal. We'll figure it out, man. We may go as hard as we can for 3 hours and flip it over to CBS Sports Radio. We have no idea, but we're going to do the best that we can while we're in here. I'll be expecting the Tier 1s to contribute today, certainly. And, hey, who knows? Maybe a decent show after all. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate all of you. May get into our Thanksgiving content a little bit early. I'm dying to know a couple of things about the Marchese family Christmas, and Thanksgiving, and I'm dying to know how you're going to handle this with your newfound surgery. All right? I'm really, really curious as to how this is going to go. And we will get into all that today. So thank you so much for being here. We are Ben & Woods, without Ben, without Paul. He's in Vegas. But it's me and Italian Paul today. We love you. We'll be right back.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Not only do we have the best group of listeners, tier ones, in town, we also have the most supportive group of listeners and tier ones in town. And I've worked on radio shows before that had, a pretty supportive group of people that listen to you every day, but I've never seen anything like the tier one community that really you guys have built over the last 6-7 years. It's pretty staggering, and if I was on another radio station, it would be my envy. I would envy it so much because our people are just incredible, and they're in the chat and they're being very supportive. And thank you guys for that, man. Life happens sometimes, and it's, again, this place for me is always a place I can come in and feel better.
Yeah.
Feel better I immediately feel better sitting in here and getting to be amongst friends like my pal Italian Paul, Frank Marchese. Man,
Yes,
how you
sir.
doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Little tired, but other than that, doing
Now,
good.
I learned yesterday about Italian Paul. He says to me,
Wait a minute.
we finished yesterday. We finished up the program, and we went into the recording studio to do a promo. And I said, so these early mornings for you, what's that like? And he goes, dude, I'm usually going to bed at 3:30 or 4 in the morning. And I'm like, what are you, Keith Richards? Like, who goes to bed? Let me ask you a question. If you're not working here at the station, and let's just say you have the complete day off, what does a day in the life of Frank Marchese look like? What time are you getting up?
I'm about as boring as you could possibly think of. I'm usually getting up, probably would have stayed up until around 1 or 2 in the morning, just because I'm up.
Are you watching stuff? Are you playing games? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm usually watching stuff by that point, just flipping through YouTube, going down whatever rabbit hole, that probably playing solitaire on my phone, doing something completely unproductive.
Correct.
Something I probably could have waited until tomorrow. But yeah, I'm probably getting up around 10, 11 o'clock. It's just, that's my whole family does the same thing. We're night owls and wake up late in the morning. That's what we do.
It's so weird to me that I landed this gig after the lifestyle that I lived for many, many years, watching the sunrise and really, going out and to be able to have to do morning radio. When I first started, I was like, this is the weirdest transition ever. When it's, Frankie, I was in my bed last night watching the end of the football game, 7 o'clock, 7 in bed, probably asleep by 8:30, 9. Watched the end of that game and put Sopranos on and fell asleep and was probably asleep by 8:30, 9. The thought of even staying up till like 1, and Ben does this all the time, and I think you can train yourself to do anything, but holy smokes. So it's even harder for you to come in and do morning. So I do appreciate it.
That's why when I was starting in New York, a lot of like the tape shifts for the newcomers was either 7 to 3 in the morning or from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah, people forget. Where did you start your radio career?
I started with CBS Sports Radio, the Infinity Sports Network in New York, and was there for about 2 years.
And who were some of the famous hosts that would grace your halls?
It was mostly the overnight guys. Like Zach Gelb was doing weekend overnight when I started there. I can tell you all the names.
You didn't cross paths with like Francesa and those cats, did you?
Not until my first Thanksgiving, because they had me work actually during the day Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, of course.
Bottom of the totem pole, you're there. And I saw the guy who hired me, Peter Bellotti. He was the one who hired me.
Of course he did.
I saw him there. I'm like, wait a minute. If he's here, so is everybody else.
Yeah.
Saw Boomer, Bart Scott.
Hey, Frankie,
Tiki Barber.
It's good to see you here. Thanks for being here on Thanksgiving week, buddy. What are you guys having at your house?
I'll tell you, I always thought that was BS.
The whole...
No, I know that. Oh. I've heard him. I always thought it was BS. The whole, somebody has an aura. When somebody steps in the room. No,
you felt it.
Oh boy, did I feel it! I felt myself sitting up straighter. I was like on it. Yeah, exactly.
That's rad.
It was an unbelievable feel. I met Glenn Jacobs, the next day.
Oh, it's amazing.
His arms are the size of my legs.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, you forget Frankie started kind of in the big leagues, man. That's it. New York sports radio is kind of where it all happened. So, well, look, man, you're seasoned. It's a little different vibe here.
I found out
in San Diego, a little different vibe, certainly. And again, it's funny. It's one of my favorite conversations to have is the tough, brutal New York media. And my answer to that always is, well, you think that their football teams would be better as hard as the media is on them. They're both, what do they have, combined 4 wins between them, maybe 5?
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. And by the way, terrible every single year. It's not like they're on the upslope. They're both train wrecks of organizations. So it is one of the most tired sports tropes out there. Is that teams in New York, they're more accountable.
They are held. They are held.
They're held, but It doesn't matter. It
Oh, no,
certainly
it doesn't
doesn't
mean-
inspire their play.
No,
Not
it-
even a little bit.
It doesn't mean that they're going to be good every year. Look at
How
every
about-
team I root for.
How about any year? When was the last time either of those teams was worth a flip? It's been
It's been about 10, 11 years.
It's been a long, long time. Maybe the media should
the Giants Super Bowl.
Maybe the media should be tougher on them. All right. Well, Frankie's here. He's filling in for Paulie. Paulie, by the way, looks like he is having the time of his life.
Oh, how nice.
He sent me and Benny last night a picture of a cocktail.
Completely immune to all this.
Hold on. I'm pulling it up. He sends me and Benny a cocktail. It says, I just had the greatest cocktail of my life. And it was called the Smoke Jumper. It's Woodinville Bourbon, Palo Santo, I don't know what that is, cherry bark vanilla bitters. And they brought it to his table, and they do that eye wash thing now where they put the thing on top and they smoke it, and the smoke comes out of it. But he said this thing absolutely melted in my mouth. They ate at a really nice restaurant. Paulie and Megan out in Vegas doing it up, and it looks so, so good. And listen, nobody deserves it more than Paulie to be out there in Vegas tearing it up with his wife. And so I'm sure he will wake up and go, what the hell is happening on our radio show right now? But we'll be here to set the menu today. We'll talk some Aztecs basketball. They're going to have a game in about
11 o'clock.
Yeah,
this
3.5 hours. That's going to be interesting. Then we've got Jim Brogan, as I mentioned, is going to be coming in at 8, and we'll see. We'll see what else the morning brings. We'll take some Tier 1 calls as well. But thank you guys so much for being here with us this morning. We'll be right back. Let's talk some Aztecs basketball. We'll talk about the football game last night. You know, texting with Ben last night, I said, I think me and you would have been the biggest Justin Herbert fans had the Chargers stayed in town. I know they lost last night. Still really enjoy watching that kid play football. I'm not putting that one on him last night at all. Not even a little. But Ravens did take down the Chargers, and we'll talk about that. And a bunch of other stuff today. Baseball is dead in the water right now. I listened to a podcast that may interest some of you with a couple of former GMs yesterday. Got a little bit of insight on that as well we can talk about. So we'll do all our normal stuff, too. We're going to do Take on Woods. Frankie's going to run it. We'll do the Italian Paul report, and we'll have some fun. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. So I'm here. Paulie's in Vegas. We got Italian Paul joining us as well. IP, thank you for being here, buddy.
Anytime.
Just getting some war stories behind the scenes from what it was like to be in sports radio in New York. You never did get to meet Mike Francesa, but apparently a guy that we know and know very well and love most of the time. Our boss, Adam Klug, is on the line. He called in. You had a run-in with Mike Francesa, Kluger?
I sure did. Good morning, Woodsy. How are you?
I'm good, man. How's that happen?
I used to produce the Doug Gottlieb show. Obviously, I've told you guys that, and you all know that.
Yep.
Now a college basketball coach, but we did the show from KLAA in Anaheim at Angel Stadium. And when they moved the show to New York, it was kind of everyone in that building knew, oh, here comes the Doug Gottlieb show into the New York studios, which is where WFAN and CBS Sports Radio were at the time. And I believe it was the first day we were there. We were in afternoons, which was the same time slot as Mike Francesa was. And Mike brought John Calipari, who was at the time the University of Kentucky basketball coach, brought him in studio. They got a long-standing relationship. The Wildcats must have been in town for a tournament or something like that. And so the WFAN studios are right next to the CBS Sports Radio studios. I know it doesn't do the justice to our entire audience, but for your perspective, it would be like a guest coming into the Alt 94.9 studio or the Sunny studio, like literally right next door to the Fan studio. And so I, as a producer, and obviously Doug's a huge college basketball guy, I thought, John Calipari's in studio.
No, you didn't.
We should try and get him on with Doug
not.
while he's literally right here.
You did not.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's my job. So he finishes his interview with Mike, with Francesa. He's just standing in the hallway, and I go up and introduce myself and talk to him and say, hey, Doug's right there. Do you have time to sit down? and he didn't have time. He said he was about to leave. I said, okay, thanks, no worries, appreciate it, nice meeting you. And he went on his way. The next break, Mike Francesa comes out of the studio and goes, what do you think you're doing? You don't talk to my guest. He's here because my guest. You understand that? I sent my driver, my car to go pick him up and bring him here. He's my, and he just starts going off on me that it's basically that John Calipari is the property of Mike Francesa.
Oh my God.
And you're not allowed to talk to him.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
How long had you been on the job?
I mean, I had been with Doug for years, but that was like, I think it was like my first day in the New York studios.
Oh.
We had just moved cross country. Moved our families to New York, come to the office for the first time. As a producer, I see John Calipari standing right there, and that's what Mike Francesa does to me. So that's my Francesa run-in. I just turned around. He's in the middle of going off at me. I was like, okay, thanks. So I just turned around and walked away. Whatever. He's Mike Francesa. The next morning I wake up, I have an email from, obviously, that creates huge content for their morning show.
Oh, yeah.
Boomer and Carton, Craig Carton and Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, convicted felon, Craig Carton, yes.
This is before that, but yeah, I'm sure it's going on. But yes, before that. So former NFL MVP Boomer Esiason emails me, says, hey, Adam, heard about what happened with Mike. He says, don't worry about it. He does that to everybody. The rest of us here at FAN and CBS are all happy to have you and Doug here in New York. Wish you the best. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask.
Now, that's a super classy move. Super classy move by Boomer. I can only hear it in his voice. Hey, Adam, welcome in. We're glad to have you. Super classy move.
I'm glad you made the joke because your impression is better than mine, but I was thinking that.
My God, dude. Yeah, it makes you feel like you're this big. I don't even think me, probably the biggest diva up here, I probably wouldn't even do that. We had Higgy in here, Kyle Higashioka. He was rad. I mean, he's not John Calipari levels, right? But he's in here, and I did look out, and I saw the country station. They were very excited that Higgy was here, too, and they grabbed him and were doing pictures and stuff, and I just went, oh, yeah, good for them. They had Tim McGraw in years ago, and I didn't drag him in for an interview, but I took a picture with him. I feel like if somebody's in the building, I feel like they're fair game. That's how I feel.
It's called being a team player.
Right.
But,
he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know how to be a team player. I mean, there's just no way. That dude, there's one of those guys in every single town, especially in sports, that think they're such, their ego's way more inflated than it needs to be. I get it. He's a pioneer, but, bro, he's horrific.
I witnessed him absolutely berate his program director, who is his boss.
Yeah, who would do that?
Who is just the nicest guy in the world.
Who would ever berate their program director?
No. I'm talking screaming at the top of his lungs in front of everybody.
I can't.
So his reputation is earned, in my opinion.
I can't relate. Hang on the line, Adam. I'm going to check traffic, but there's one more thing I want to ask you about when we get back. All right, hang on.
That's a tease.
Yeah, it is a tease. We'll be right back.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive the Oil Change, your trusted Instant Drive the Oil Change. We still have this car on northbound 5 past Harbor Drive. Apparently it struck something in the roadway, so it's disabled over to the right shoulder, north 5 past Harbor Drive. And Cordell traffic cam shows a stalled vehicle on the Poway Road on-ramp to northbound 15. It's over to the right shoulder. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline Instant Oil Change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's funny, Adam Klug, that you mentioned your relationship with Doug Gottlieb, and you did mention he is now a college basketball coach as well.
Right.
He coaches at University of Green Bay. And I saw yesterday...
Or is it Green Bay, Wisconsin, or something like that?
University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. He got
Green Bay.
Yep, he got that gig back in May. And it's funny that you mentioned it because I literally saw an article about him yesterday on Twitter.
About his schedule?
About his schedule. It says, the title is, Doug Gottlieb looks exhausted by his grueling schedule as a basketball coach and radio host. And so he's doing a full-time talk show. I imagine Doug probably does it by himself, too. I would imagine probably a 3-hour show every day. And it's on Fox Sports Radio. But so they laid out his schedule every day. 7 a.m. wake up. 7:30 coffee with staff. 8 o'clock workout. Guy still gets a workout in. 9 o'clock breakfast, 10 o'clock shoot around, 12 p.m. noon, arrive back to the hotel, 2 o'clock tapes a podcast, 3 o'clock goes live on the Doug Gottlieb show, and then 5 o'clock he's off air, 7 p.m. tip-off.
Yep. By the way, against Ohio State, probably his biggest opponent of the year.
Yeah, lost by 33. But is that, in your mind, like, I feel like one would have to give. And I think I would probably ditch the radio show to be a professional college coach. I do.
Are you asking me if this is sustainable?
Is this sustainable is what I'm asking you.
So
You know him.
I love Doug. He's always been very good to me and my family. I love him. But I don't think it's sustainable in that, perhaps the radio employer could deal with it unless it starts impacting the show, and maybe it does. But he's been doing it for so long. I think he's got it that aspect under control. Yeah. I think about it more from the athletic director perspective.
Yes.
It's like you're on the air until 2 hours before tip-off against our biggest rival, or not even rival, obviously. Ohio State's not a rival, but it's our biggest game of the year. You're on the air at 4:45 previewing Monday Night Football, Chargers-Ravens, and then you show up here and we get slammed by 33 points. Like, that's obviously bad optics. And so whether it's Ohio State or anybody else, like, if I'm the athletic director and I'm like, dude, you had bad rotations, or you missed a timeout, or we got destroyed because you were talking about whether or not the Cowboys should hire Deion Sanders instead of grinding tape on our opponent. Like, I don't see how that aspect is sustainable.
Yeah,
personally.
That's spoken like a true athletic director right there, too. But again, when you hire Doug Gottlieb, you kind of know what you're going to get.
But it's the truth, right?
It is the truth.
But it's the truth.
And you're a manager that manages a bunch of people here, and many of us all have side gigs as well. And it's not easy to do. It's just not easy to do. And I do commend you for that. Tip my hat to you. But yeah, you wonder how long this thing can go on with Doug. Thanks for calling in, Kluger.
Of course.
And we're going to get this thing going.
Wishing everything with Ben to be the best, obviously, with he and his family.
Yep. I'll let anybody know any updates I get. But we do have a huge, thank you, Kluger. That's our boss, Adam Klug. We do have a huge basketball game that's going to be kicking off here in a few hours. And it's going to be an interesting one. The Players Era Festival, you got 8 teams, each getting $1 million for just walking in the door, which is great. And you love so much, if you're an Aztecs fan, that your team is now considered one of those teams that would be considered for something like this, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
$1 million to your NIL collective right when you walk in the door. Top 4 finishers are going to end up splitting an additional $1 million. So you make the Final Four in this. There's an extra, $250K for you. And I don't know how they stagger it out, but it's certainly a really, really cool thing that the Aztecs are going to be doing. So I was looking at the numbers right now. Creighton is favored by 4 right now, but they started their season with 4 double-digit wins, just cruising and crushing people. Well, then they went home to take on Nebraska, and not only did they not cover, they were favored by 10.5. They lost outright, 74-63. Did not have a good game from their number one player, Ryan Kalkbrenner. Averages 21.4 points. He only scored 4 points against Nebraska's defense. So that's going to be something where you don't think that's going to happen again. But good news for the Aztecs. Miles Byrd has been a regular practice participant. His ankle is still a little bit bulky, but he is expected to return to the starting lineup. So he and Pharaoh Compton both had muscle cramps in the last game. You got to get through that. You're playing in Vegas, out in the middle of the desert. So we'll see how they respond today. But I'm looking forward to that game at 11, man. It's going to be a good one. Like I said, Aztecs are the underdogs. They're going to be getting 4 points. So I don't know, man. It's hard to handicap college basketball so early in the season. You kind of got to see who steps up, what the rotations are, what it all looks like. But I'm telling you, I get a lot of joy watching the Aztecs play basketball, win or lose. I mean, they really hung in there with Gonzaga. They just couldn't get anything going in the second half. But I really enjoy a Brian Dutcher run team. It's a aesthetically pleasing watch to me because you don't see just the chuck and duck. Just, I'm going to hoist the 3 and run down the field. They play such intense defense. Creighton has their hands full today. Even though they're favored by 4 points, I think I'm taking the Aztecs and the points today because I love the way they're playing. They love these tournaments. They've played well against Creighton before. Creighton does lead the series 5-4, but that goes back to 1948. Aztecs have won 3 of the last 4, including, of course, the game in the Elite Eight that we will never forget. 57-56 dub for the Aztecs. So should be a fun kind of budding rivalry between these two. And I'm looking forward to that game today, Frankie.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think Creighton really this season hasn't been tested.
Right.
They've played UT Rio Grande Valley, Fairleigh Dixon, Houston Christian, Kansas City, and their one test was Nebraska, and they blew it. So you could say the same thing for San Diego State, but Nebraska wasn't ranked, especially not in the top 5.
Yeah.
The one thing that Creighton does have going for them, though, is they play in a really tough conference.
Yep.
That Big East, right now, looking at it, DePaul, Marquette, Xavier, and Providence are all undefeated. After that, you have Butler, 1 loss, Creighton, 1 loss, Georgetown, 1 loss, UConn, 1 loss. It is a tough, tough conference, that Big East. So they are, and they've been at the top or near the top for quite some time now. So this is, that ramp-up game at Nebraska might have been what Creighton needed.
Yeah, for sure.
But San Diego State also had one. Sure, they started the season off with Occidental, and they started off with UC San Diego, which was very close. Congratulations to them. They won the Boardwalk tournament a couple days over the weekend. But that tune-up against Gonzaga also might have just been what San Diego State needed.
100%. And if they're healthy, I absolutely like their chances. I absolutely like their chances. Shutting down Kalkbrenner, who is 7'1",
That's going to be
is going to be it's going to be the game. But you got Magoon-Gwath, so he's going to need to have his best game. He's going to need to block shots, which is what he's done since he's gotten here. I think he had 5 blocks against Gonzaga. So yeah, you're going to need the defense to step up today, as they always do. They play good defense. It's something that you can count on. And if the shots go in, it won't be from a lack of effort. It won't be from a lack of contesting them. They will be in Creighton's face all day. They're going to play the entire game as hard as they can. So I'm excited for this. I get it. I've already had some people in the chat saying, man, this 11 a.m. Yeah, this is those tournaments, man. The Maui Invitational is going on right now. And, of course, huge upset in the Maui Invitational yesterday, one that I unwisely bet. I unwisely took UConn, and they got beat. They got beat by Penny Hardaway's Memphis. And we will be playing you some audio of, I'd say, in the pantheon of irritating coaches, I'd say Hurley is in the top 3 of coaches walking the planet today. And we'll play some audio from him that was embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but when you win at the level that they win, you do get a little bit of leeway, but he's wearing people out right now. If you saw the game yesterday, he looked like my 6-year-old was coaching the game. Stomping up and down, laying down on the ground, fell down, fainting. He was horrible. It was absolutely embarrassing. People said the same thing about his kid, and you can see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I was
Almost got me again.
That.
Almost got me again. But yeah, so it was an ugly scene yesterday, and it's funny because this guy's out here preaching accountability and takes absolutely zero accountability for himself or his actions. So we'll play you that audio and don't do this. We will do Take on Woods as well. We'll do that next, so we're going to need to get a caller on the line here pretty soon. That is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. So we will do Take on Woods. We will do Don't Do This, and we will keep this train rolling this morning for as long as we can. I'm telling you, I still may pull the ripcord at some point. I'm going to try to get through it, Frankie. But if we're out of time,
I think we'll be all right.
You think we'll be all right? We've just got 3 short hours to go. We'll talk to the tier 1s as well, and I will update you guys as soon as I hear anything from our beloved Ben Higgins.
I lost my train of thought.
That's fine.
That train left the station right without me.
And I want to talk Thanksgiving because I was planning on doing it tomorrow. But we may need to go to it today.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right.
Might be one of those things we may have to do.
We will be back in just a moment. If you want to play Take on Woods, it should be a train wreck because not only does Italian Paul have to run it, he's got to host it as well.
Oh, I know what's going on.
You know what
I've
to
done
do?
it enough.
All right. Yeah, call us now, 833-288-0973. If you want to play, I lost yesterday. Things aren't going well today. It's a good time to qualify for our trip. So call us now, 833-288-0973 if you want to play Take on Woods. That's coming up next. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Welcome back. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. It is Tuesday, November 20, what? 6th? 4th? 4th.
26th.
26th. I can't read that.
24th was Sunday.
24th was Sunday. Today's the 26th. Thanksgiving just a couple of days away, and I can taste it. I can taste the food. I can taste the vacation couple of days. We will not be here on Thursday, obviously. We will not be here on Friday, obviously. But we'll be back Monday. And hopefully by that time we have a little news in baseball. It's funny, man. I got home yesterday from the show, and I thought, it is just dead. It's just dead. We do this every year, man. This is, you can go back and play the show from a year ago today, and it would be us in here lamenting the fact that Major League Baseball is just really slow. So I logged on to my Sirius XM app and was
serious?
Yeah, I am serious. And I poked around on the MLB radio station that they have there. And I saw a podcast. I think it's called Front Office. You ever heard of this?
No.
It's Jim Bowden and Dan Duquette. And they
I've heard of both of them.
Yep, they do they were both, if I'm not mistaken, GMs at one time. And so they do a kind of a front office-y type podcast. I'm looking at their guest list, and I'm like, that's quite a show, gentlemen, you guys put together, right? Mike Elias, GM of the Orioles. Peter Bendix, president of baseball ops, GM for the Marlins. A couple other names in there, too. And I went, all right, well, let's go listen to these GM interviews and see if we can glean anything from them at all. Obviously, you got two organizations in the Marlins and Orioles that are headed in different directions. Orioles on the upswing. Marlins are wanting to be what the Orioles are, but it's going to take them 5 to 7 years to get there.
And every time they do end up getting there, they win a World Series and they completely tear it down.
Yeah, or, they made the playoffs a couple of years and then decided to tear it down, got rid of our pal Skip Schumacher, got rid of Kim Ng, brought in Peter Bendix. I don't know Peter Bendix personally. I will tell you this. He's one of the guys that I listen to that gives me the heebie-jeebies when I hear him talk. And so I listened to these guys interview him. They started with him. And you listen to it and you go, man, these GMs really get a manual for how to talk to the media. Because it was, well, why did you hire, the new manager? I think it's Clayton McCullough.
Yeah, it was the Dodgers first
base coach. Well, he really aligned on our vision. And he really has the right people skills. And he's really the best human. And I'm like, all right, I've heard all these answers before. Didn't really tell us anything fresh. So then I was really interested in hearing what Mike Elias had to say. Because as interesting as the Baltimore Orioles are and have been the last couple of seasons, what they had to do to get there was unconscionable. It was unconscionable. I mean, the total rebuild, the breakdown.
It was 116 losses a couple of years ago.
116 loss season. Then to get to the playoffs finally, knocked out in the first round. I think they got knocked out in the first round again this year. Did they not?
Yep.
And
eat Chris Davis's contract, which was massive.
100%. So I'm listening to Elias. He's a little more freewheeling. He's a little more sarcastic, which was good. He's a good interview. But when they started listing out the number of top prospects that they have, I mean, their farm system is replete, but they have some budding superstar at every single position. But they're holding on to these guys like grim death at this point, not willing to move them for let's say, a Garrett Crochet, who would be a stud in Baltimore. They don't know if they want to spend the money to re-sign Corbin Burns. So when I look at that and the stark difference between a guy like Mike Elias and a guy like A.J. Preller, and I look at it and I go, all right, which one would I rather have? And that's the question I asked myself yesterday. Which one would I rather have? Would I rather have the riverboat gambler, the shoot from the hip, I'm trying to win, I will trade prospects for major league ready talent because I want to put a winner on the field? Or do I want a guy that is still very careful and we're still developing players as we go, but they have so much prospect capital, Frankie. They have so much prospect capital, and so far they're kind of unwilling to move it. They've moved some fringe guys here and there, but as far as their big, call it 7, they just won't move them. And I can't, for the life of me, decide which one I want. I really can't. I feel like I lean more towards the Preller camp. If you've listened to me talk baseball on this show for the last 6 or 7 years, I think that's kind of where my head is at, and I lean that way because I just can't. I can't tell you, and you know this. You're a Met fan. You also follow the Padres very closely. For every one Trey Turner, there's a dozen, 2 dozen that you never hear from again. You just never hear from again. So that's why I'm like, man, I don't know, man. When I go to Petco Park, I like looking around and seeing guys with big league ability that are big leaguers and think about the success, albeit fleeting over the last couple of years, but they've certainly gone farther than the Orioles have with a much higher payroll, certainly as well. And it's not like the Orioles haven't tried. I just don't know. I don't know the right course of action right now.
For me, I personally tend to lean the other way, but the way the Orioles have gone is way too far that way, I think. I've killed AJ Preller over the last couple of years for trading who he's traded, Robbie Snelling, and getting rid of all of these prospects. It's like, what are you doing? Especially when you need starting pitching. I know Robbie Snelling's not going to be ready this year or next year, but still, I mean, come on. That's a starter that you can use at some point to help you out. I like having youth on the team, but you also need to have that veteran big game presence, that money presence, that game-changing presence. Of course, you want that to be your rookies, but they need someone to look up to instead of each other. And I think that's where you kind of do have to blow the money on a Corbin Burns to try to bring him back, or to find that veteran outfielder, someone that can help Jackson Holliday along, because he didn't do much last year.
Right.
His number one prospect didn't do much last year.
And it happens so often in baseball. I love our guys at Mad Friars that cover, the prospects. And one thing I will say, everybody, ourselves included, we're a part of this machine. We've done a great job at hyping up the Padres prospects.
Of course.
Baseball America has done a great job at hyping up the Padres prospects. Mad Friars has done a great job. Good, great. That's what you want. You want every time he pulls off one of these deals, I go, that SOB did it again. We got this guy for these 2 guys, and and honestly, most of the time, you never hear from those guys again. You really don't. And if they pan out in 5 years, oh well, swing and a miss. But I tend to lean, and listen, people in the chat are saying, well, there needs to be maybe a better balance of it.
Yes.
I get it. I absolutely get it. But I also get that if you're AJ Preller, this is kind of your MO now. This is who you are. So don't change who you are. Don't change. That means to me, if you do that, if you start hoarding, I'm not saying trade everyone, but if you start hoarding a bunch of guys that are 4A players, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Because we've had,
No, I know.
the amount of 4A players that we've had
Mets have been the same
is
way.
staggering. It's staggering. Now, you got a Mark Vientos breaks through, right? Great. He's a star. He's good. But you also have a Brett Beatty that didn't break through, right? Brett Beatty, they wouldn't have traded Brett Beatty for anybody. Nope. Guess what? They should have.
He was the future.
He was the
next David Wright.
Correct.
That's what he was.
And he's not that yet. He may still get there, but with every single year that passes, you just don't know. You don't know. So if somebody's got their eyes on a prospect that they really like, and they're willing to give up a Tarek Skubal or a Garrett Crochet or a guy of that caliber, I say you pull the trigger. Because last year, the Orioles, man, I shudder to think what they could have added at the deadline for a couple of their prospects. They didn't get anybody.
No, and that's absolutely fair, but you can't get rid of everybody.
Exactly.
That's the problem, because then when you do come up to a point where you need that big trade, you don't have anybody.
Yeah, because you've already made 6 big trades.
You've already done it.
It's
That's why I said after they traded for Luis Arraez, I didn't see the Padres making another trade. I thought that was their March to October roster, because there was really nobody left to get rid of that you would have thought was worth it. Now, of course, he made 2 trades that really bolstered the bullpen.
Yeah.
But,
brilliant trades, by the way. Brilliant.
Absolutely. But you got to find that line between getting rid of too many and not getting rid of all of them. And I think they're both way on the opposite sides of the
They
spectrum
are.
when it comes to
They
that.
absolutely are. One of them has no problem pulling the trigger. You know, AJ's the all-in guy at the poker table, and Mike Elias is the guy sitting on pocket kings that is like, should I?
Yeah.
Should I do it? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Neither of them have won a World Series yet. So, but I the way that both teams are going, they're both headed in a similar direction, but with different pieces. And I found that part fascinating. He actually was a really good interview. Peter Bendix was nothing but GM speak over and over and over. Our vision, our plan, this, that, and the other. And again, if you're a Marlins fan, you listen to that and you go, I have zero hope for the future. We just were in the playoffs. We had the manager of the year, and now we're in a full teardown rebuild. They do have good pitching. Will they keep it? Can they afford to keep it? I mean, this is the state of baseball right now. And frankly, I like sitting in this chair a little bit better than where a couple of these orgs are at. But decent listen if you have Sirius XM radio. It's called The Front Office. Pretty decent podcast. Let's play some Take on Woods. You got a caller?
Yes, we do.
All right, my friend. I will step out, and you can handle this business.
All righty, here we go.
It's time for Take on Woods.
Woods. Woods.
All righty, so here we go. Our Take on Woods contestant today will be Bryson in Escondido. Bryson, how you doing this morning, bud?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing all right. So today, well, if I lower that a little bit more. So today you're only going to have two categories to choose from because one of our songs was unwittingly one of our rejoin songs. So today, you know how to play the game, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So today you are going to have two categories to choose from. Those would be taking a trip to Pound Town. That would feature 5 song titles that all include a euphemism for, well, you know, starting with the 2-second song, of course. And the new one today is going to be That's Not True. 5 song titles that all feature a big lie somewhere in the title. So which one do you want to go with today? Taking a trip to Pound Town or That's Not True?
Let's go with Pound Town.
All right, so we will do that. And we will start with our 2-second song here. So if you are ready, I am ready.
I'm ready.
All righty, let's get it going. We will start with the 2-second song. Here we go.
Pass.
French duo Daft Punk enlisted Pharrell Williams for which 2013 song that became their only top 10 hit in the U.S.?
Get Lucky.
Correct. Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me was the inspiration for which 1990s top hit by Warrant?
Oh. Pass.
Rihanna sings about going from 0 to 60 in 3.5 in which innuendo-laden 2007 hit?
Shut Up and Drive.
Correct. Starland Vocal Band is best known for which 1976 #1 single?
Oh. No idea.
Okay, so so I will put you on hold. Could have been a little bit better on my part, but we'll see what this brings you here as Woodsy comes back in.
Score is locked in.
Yes, score is locked in.
Who am I playing?
You're playing Bryson in Escondido.
All right, let's go.
All right,
I'm
so
ready.
we will start this when I start the music here. Ready to go.
Madonna. I'll come back to it.
Okay, French duo Daft Punk enlisted Pharrell Williams for which 2013 song that became their only top 10 hit in the U.S.?
I literally only played it 7,000 times, and the name escapes me right now. I'm panicking. It's, I'll come back to it.
Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me was the inspiration for which 1990s top hit by Warrant?
Cherry Pie?
Correct. Rihanna sings about going from 0 to 60 in 3.5 in which innuendo-laden 2007 hit?
Pass.
Starland Vocal Band is best known for which 1976 number one single?
Afternoon Delight?
Yes, back to the 2 seconds.
That is Like a Prayer, Madonna.
Yes. French duo Daft Punk enlisted Pharrell Williams for which 2013?
Get Lucky.
Yes.
Got it in. I got that in.
Yes,
That's
so 4 out of 5. So Ben Woods, congratulations.
Thank you.
Have won it.
I pulled that right out of my rear end.
Yes, you certainly did.
How did he do?
He got 2.
Okay.
He got Get Lucky and...
Doesn't really matter.
I
I
think-
beat him.
yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you for playing. What's his name? Bryson?
Yes, Bryson.
Bryson,
from
thank you for
Escondido.
playing. We will go to break right now. When we come back, we will do Don't Do This. I got that Dan Hurley audio for you. And it really rubbed me the wrong way watching that guy coach yesterday. And then, of course, our beloved Padres are doing some great things in the community. We will get to that as well. Be right back. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Go back song or two.
On 97.3 The Fan.
I don't know why I have so much trouble with that phrase, Frankie. The apple sometimes does fall far. I can't do it.
You just need a fresh paint of coat on your lexicon there. That's all you need.
Fresh paint of coat. Terrible, dude. It's just one of those things. It's like a mental block. Welcome back to Ben and Woods. Don't do this. Two stories that make you shake your head, and one heartwarming story that we try to find every day. I will say it gets harder and harder every day. But let's start with the Maui Invitational yesterday. UConn 9.5-point favorites against Memphis. Penny Hardaway's Memphis, and man, it came down to the wire. Went into overtime. The last thing you want to do, I think, if you're a head basketball coach, head football coach, head major league manager, you don't want to feel like you cost your team the game. And Dan Hurley got teed up in a tie score. It was a call that he did not like, and he got a massive technical. His assistant coach was holding him back. He's screaming at the ref, and I was reading his lips, and I think he was saying you're a loser. I think he kept saying it over and over. You're a loser.
Yeah, because that's something a mature adult says.
You're a loser. He had spent time on his back in the game. There was a call that was made, and he fainted on the ground. I mean, he really went ballistic yesterday. So, look, the technical foul didn't directly cause the loss, but it certainly opened the door for the Tigers at the worst possible time. So they asked him after the game, what his thoughts were on his performance.
But I had a lot of issues with what went on out there in the game.
So
that
calm.
over the back call at that point of the game, there was no attempt to block out. There was a player on Memphis that made a half-ass effort to rebound that basketball, and Liam McNeely high-pointed that rebound. For that call to be made at that point of the game was a complete joke. All right, and then for me, I don't know what happened. I might have lost my balance by the absurdity of the call, or maybe I tripped. But if I made that call at that point, I would have ignored the fact that I was on my back. If I made that call, I would have ignored that. That was obviously a major. How you could call that while that game was going on, the way that game was going on, is just beyond me. But I know, I've never seen the one ref before. I didn't even know he was a college ref, and then, I'm familiar with the other two, so I'm not surprised.
Wow. I mean, that's probably fine material coming down for Dan Hurley today. I think well deserved. It's hard to coach and expect accountability from your kids, and that's what they are. They're kids. It's hard to expect accountability from your kids when they look to their coach and they don't see any. They don't see any at all. And huge upset for Memphis yesterday. And you know what? He had also said something to the effect of, well, when you win 2 national championships, you're supposed to get calls like that. Nobody likes that guy. Unless you're a UConn fan. He's a tough watch.
I will say, though, if this UConn thing doesn't work out, he's got a career in ASMR lined right up for him. He would put me to sleep in about 5 seconds.
He's got the voice like this.
Yeah, could you imagine?
He's calm.
Could you imagine hearing that voice? You're a loser. You're a loser.
I watched
that would destroy me.
I watched a little bit of one of his practices on Twitter. There was like a clip. I thought to myself, there's nothing. I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing, right? They're a juggernaut of a team. He knows what he's doing. But oh my God, it was like watching a 6-year-old out there bouncing the ball, kicking the ball, super mad. Not the kind of guy I would like to play for. Not the guy that's going to get the best out of me. That's for sure. Frankie, celebrity endorsements can be an odd thing from time to time.
I wouldn't know. I've never gotten one.
You take what you can get, right? Sometimes. And for Chula Vista's own, Mario Lopez, this was tweeted into my timeline this morning. And I had to search my soul to think if I would do this. This is a real thing. They're selling these at Costco. Mm-hmm. It's dude wipes. Okay, now we have some in the bathroom here.
Yes, we do.
In the office. I don't know who put them there. Have you tried them?
Okay. I have tried them.
It's the vanilla and shea flavor. Now, flavor's not the right word. It's the vanilla and shea scent.
No, we'll go with flavor.
Flavor.
Just for yeah.
So I'm looking at this. Somebody got a package of these, and it is it's Mario Lopez's wipes. It says Mario Lopez wipes men. If this is real, I could be getting. People keep telling me that this is real, that you can actually buy these, and it's his face on these doo-doo wipes. And I was thinking, what products would I refuse to put my face on? I do endorsements for businesses here in town. I'm very proud of all of those and use them and believe in them. I don't know that I could put my face on doo-doo wipes. No. I don't think I could.
Preparation H might be one.
Preparation H, right?
I turn down, yeah.
Like, there's Frank the hemorrhoid guy.
Yeah.
Anything diarrheal? Anti-diarrheal?
I'm not taking my own turn down the George Brett timeline.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. If you don't know that story, you can Google it. It's fantastic. But I looked at this and I went, how lean does it have to be for you to say, yeah, slap my face on those? I mean, it's his face, Mario, and this is Mario Lopez wipes men.
Couple of
mint scented.
Mint scented.
I hope this is real. I hope I didn't just get duped.
I'm seeing tampons in the chat. I'm seeing adult diapers.
It'd be weird.
Seeing ED pills,
it'd be
STD medications.
It'd be weird to have a man's face on feminine products.
Yeah, you think? That would be one of the last people I would choose.
No, I did.
A man.
I did endorsements for West Coast Men's Health, and that was
fair.
ED related, but also other things.
I know you won't be getting one from Old Delmar Surgical.
like plantar fasciitis, it can treat that as well. I don't know. Janine says it's real. All right, you've seen these, Janine? You've seen the Mario Lopez. I'm not letting people wipe themselves with a product. Now, his face isn't on the wipe, but it's on the front of the package. So I'm going to say, if my agent calls me, hey, I got a great deal. Dude Wipes wants to put your face on there. I'm going to say no. Not doing it. You as well?
No, I would not be doing
All right,
that.
and then finally, do you have the DD Mega Doo-Doo clip?
Yes, I do right there.
DD
How
Mega
appropriate.
Doo-Doo.
Yeah, how appropriate it is. Our beloved San Diego Padres out in the community. I believe it was yesterday.
Yes, it was.
Helping out people in need for Thanksgiving. Jeremiah Estrada was out with Mud Grant, our beloved Mud Grant, handing out turkeys. And this always gives me such delight when I see our team doing this. You know, helping out the community and giving back. Here's a little audio from the fellas yesterday.
So today we are kicking off our annual holiday giving tour here with a turkey and Thanksgiving meal distribution in Tailgate Lot. We're going to be helping feed over 1,000 families today in partnership with the San Diego Police, Northgate Gonzalez Market, and the San Diego Food Bank. We're giving out over 1,000 turkeys, sides, and fresh produce to underserved and military families in our community, helping to brighten the Thanksgiving season and the holiday season for them, and give back in the community that we appreciate so much as an organization.
It feels good to be out here just to give out the food itself to them. It's being given to someone who's very well in need of it.
Jeremiah.
But it's a huge blessing. Yet alone, it's a huge blessing to be a Padre and be out here in San Diego to do this in this beautiful weather. And we're here to have fun, and we're here to do what we can do to bless other people's day.
I love that, dude. What a phenomenal find from A.J. Preller. Picked him up off the proverbial scrap heap to come join the team and become an integral part of the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And absolutely love him. Love that work. Love to see our guys out doing stuff in the community all year long, and I know they won't stop yet. So that was Do and Don't Do This on a Tuesday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's get into it next. I need to crawl inside. I want to know what it's like to get an invite to the Marchese household. Also, if you're listening to the program, you don't know what Frank's been through in the last couple of months. I'm nervous for you. I'm nervous for you for Thanksgiving. And I want to hear how you're planning on handling all of this. Frankie recently had a surgery, the stomach sleeve. You're down 65?
Yeah, about 64 pounds over the last 7 weeks.
That's incredible, dude. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
But now, you're walking into the Lions' Den on Thursday, and I want to know how you're going to handle it. I want to know what the Marchese house looks like. We'll talk some Thanksgiving next. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. on his white steed. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the great Benjamin R. Higgins, who has just walked in the studio. Ben, what in the world is happening?
Good morning. Wow.
Why are you here?
That was an adventurous night. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
It's good to be here.
I'm glad you're okay.
I'm sure you talked a little bit about where I was.
Yeah.
And happy to report my son is home, resting, and feeling much better. So I can fill you in on everything. Let me log into our YouTube stream while you toss it to traffic, and then we can update everybody on the other side.
Thanks for reminding me that we had traffic here because I literally had no idea. We will be right back. The GOAT has arrived. Well, in a very, very interesting turn of events, Benjamin Higgins has just walked into the studio. If you missed it this morning, I woke up to a text from Benny. He was in the ER with his son, Graham, and very worried and took him in. He was in a lot of pain, and they got him all taken care of. Now he's home resting. So Ben said, I didn't know. He just walked in, and much to my surprise, it's like bringing in the closer for we need like a 7-out save now.
I thought you guys did a great job. I never get to listen to the show, so I got to actually listen to the 7 o'clock segment as you talked a little prospect versus, proven major leaguers, and then got to hear Frank host Take on Woods. I've never heard Take on Woods before. I was able to play along in my own car for the first time ever. I tied you with 4 out of 5, so I would have qualified.
Wait
for
a minute.
How do you tie?
grand prize.
Exactly. You're the one that makes the questions.
I forgot Cherry Pie by Warren.
Oh, my God.
Yes, I did write the category. I did get 4 out of 5 on a category I actually wrote. It's a hard game.
It is.
It's a hard game, and I did get 4 out of 5. I was proud of myself, even though I did write the questions and I forgot one of them. But it's not easy to host. It must be even harder to host and have to, play all the music and push all the buttons at the same time. So good job by Frank. And, I am wired on a little too much coffee and a little too little sleep.
I love it.
About an hour tonight. So I went to bed, and, about an hour later, I woke up, and my son was just in probably the worst pain of his life, just right kind of upper abdomen, had no idea what it was not sick or anything. It just kind of came on. He said, I was watching a show and just came on. I was laying in bed, and it just started hurting, and then it got worse and worse, and we just said, let's just get right to the ER.
Yeah.
And, they ran the test. They did a CT scan, put him on some pain meds. After about an hour and a half, 2 hours, he started feeling better. They never really gave us a diagnosis. Could have been viral gastroenteritis, although it didn't have the other symptoms that, you'd need a Mario Lopez wipe for. That didn't occur. And then could have been like a, gallstone type issue, but they didn't see anything on the CT scan, and the liver tests were normal. So we're kind of in the old get home, get some rest. If it comes back, we can always go back
address it
and do some more tests. But he's feeling absolutely fine, other than really tired because he didn't get any sleep last night.
Yeah, man. That remember when I had those kidney stones and I went in that night.
They didn't think it was kidney stones. They looked at that too and didn't find anything. So kind of a mystery.
Yeah, which is not. That's not ideal, certainly. When they diagnosed me with kidney stones, like, all right, cool, take this and you'll know kind of what to expect. But at least he's home resting. Thank you for coming in. You did not have to do that. But, man, I think it speaks to our show. I really do. And I think, you not wanting me to be in here dying and wanting to come in and talk to the audience. And, we do have a guest coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. But I wanted to talk to Italian Paul. Thanksgiving is around the corner, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, shared your story late in the show one day about your stomach sleeve surgery.
Yes.
And it's something that you did. I wouldn't say you agonized over it, but you you thought about it long and hard.
Yes.
Do I want to do this? The sacrifices needed for that type of surgery are astounding. And the willpower that one needs to, which is an interesting thing in and of itself. They're saying to you, all right, like you walk in and say, look, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. I want to be thinner. I want to be skinnier. Then they're going to tell you, okay, give up food for like, which is part of the reason that got you in the door. We need you to exhibit some of the world's greatest willpower.
That's the thing. If I could have given up food.
Then I wouldn't be here right now, which is just an interesting lead in into how you got it done. So you go in, you get the surgery, it goes well, and you're down 63, 64 pounds, which is just incredible. And you're feeling better, you're looking better. Then you get a holiday like Thanksgiving. Now, I've never gotten to experience Italian Thanksgiving. It has been one that I've seen The Sopranos. I saw, I've seen all kinds of shows. They do it differently than we do. In the Marchese household, do you guys do the traditional Italian Thanksgiving?
No, we just do like a regular traditional Thanksgiving.
So no manigot, no soup, no mussels.
That's Christmas mostly.
Oh, that's Christmas.
Yeah, that's Christmas for us.
All right. So you guys do the bird, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, cranberries,
a lot of it.
Pies, and things like that.
A lot of it.
So now you walk into Thanksgiving in a couple of days. What's it look like for you?
Honestly, it's not going to look too different for me other than I'm just not really eating anything. I can have some of the mashed potatoes, but I told you off air, I got full, like almost sick full, off of 2 scrambled eggs yesterday.
What does it feel like compared to before and now after the surgery? Like just in terms of your normal now day-to-day life, other than the restrictions you had to go through, obviously, to get the surgery and now the post-surgery, making sure, just in terms of how like you feel, you get obviously full faster.
Yeah, I'm getting full faster, and honestly, I don't feel hungry. Like the enzyme that's in your stomach that makes you feel hungry, they took that out. Wow. That's going to grow. Now that'll come back in about a year or so.
Yeah.
So this time next year, I'll be fully back to normal. But yeah, I don't feel hungry at all.
And back when you were eating a lot or overeating,
yes,
did you feel hungry? Because again,
oh yeah,
okay, you did. Because for me, like the psychology, funny thing is I'm rarely hungry. But it's that if you could put a lock on the fridge and the cabinets at night when I walk in and eat 15 saltines and peanut butter, I'm not even hungry when I do it, ever. Like really ever. No. And I'm like, it's like almost a tradition now to go in and do like a late night snack for me is 7:30. So I go in.
So dinner.
Get a couple crackers. No, dinner's at 4. You know that. So get a couple crackers. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm not craving it. It's just something I do.
Yeah, I have not, like there are some things that I've been craving. Like yesterday for the first time in my life, I craved like a ham sandwich. Just like that.
I love a ham sandwich. I love a ham sandwich. Do you?
I've never really craved a ham sandwich.
Really?
Try not eating for a month and a half. And then,
no, I mean, I'd crave anything.
Yeah. So you're going to go into Thanksgiving and maybe have like a scoop of mashed potatoes.
Probably, yeah.
I'm going to go the opposite way. I showed Italian Paul. Now, we're going to my mother-in-law's. Now, my parents left. They're on the plane. They left this morning. I'm really bummed. But my mother-in-law does it as right as you could possibly do it. And I walked in last year, and this was awaiting us on the table, Benny. Look at that. Have you ever seen? I can't say the word. What is it called?
Oh my goodness!
Correct.
Like a charcuterie.
I can't say the word. I can't say that word. Charcuterie. Charcuterie.
The apple does fall from that tree. Yeah.
He almost said that twice today.
I did. Look at that thing.
That is beautiful.
It is about 15 feet long. It's the size of a giant longboard surfboard, and it's everything you could ever desire on it. Cheese and meats and shrimp,
nuts and
fruits and leaves. And
how do you ever have any room for any of the actual meal afterwards?
That's the thing. We go over there, we do that. Then we'll do the traditional turkey, dressing. I'm making 5 green bean casseroles. We're feeding like 40 people, 5. And it's going to be, I'm so looking forward to it. She makes deviled eggs.
I didn't know you knew 40 people.
I know. I don't. This is mostly all Hannah's family. Well, now we're going to be less because we're missing my mom and dad. But so we'll be 38 people this time. But you go over and you nibble all day. You're nibbling on something.
You graze.
We graze, and then we sit down for the big meal. And I always run out of gas for the big meal because I've been nibbling off that charcuterie board for hours on end. But I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorites. I love to get together, love to eat. My kids love it. We play a lot. They have a bunch of stuff to do there at her house. So it really is a special, special day.
Rod's got a good question, and I'm curious about this as well. He wants to know from Frank. So what was your final meal before you had to go on the diet before the surgery? What was like the last
what a question.
Indulgence that you allowed yourself?
So I thought it was going to be a 24-hour diet. And then when I went to the last doctor's appointment, they said, no, it's a 2-week pre-op liquid diet. So that was like, my last meal was unfortunately, was on elimination day. I was here. We make a sausage and macaroni meal with
macaroni is Italian for pasta. They call it
any sorts of pasta.
Sorts of pasta.
I mean, there's also a macaroni
Correct.
like elbow macaroni.
Well, it's shells.
Right.
So I made that. It was a full box of macaroni.
Oh.
And 2 pounds of sausage.
Oh my God.
So, again, this just lets you in on how much I would eat because I wouldn't go full otherwise. So I had it for lunch before I came in here for the game. Took it, brought what I didn't eat with me, stuffed myself during the game, and as I was about to leave, I saw it in the fridge. I'm like, well, I can't save it for tomorrow now, can I? So I finished the rest of it. That is my death row final meal, and that was my last meal before this. So a full box of shell pasta and
2 pounds of sausage.
2 pounds of ground sausage.
Somebody in the Tommy in the chat says, I'm 3 years post-gastric sleeve. I can confirm hunger goes away, cravings don't. Thanksgiving is mashed potatoes and a bit of turkey mixed in. Great work, Frank.
Thank you.
Bro, it is like, that is really tough. Like, hey, I'm trying to give up weed. I'm going to go get a job at a dispensary. You know what I mean? It's like I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to get a job at a bar. Like, it's just tough.
What was the saying you gave the last time we talked about this? You said, nothing tastes as good as
being skinny feels.
Being skinnier feels.
Look at you. I love that quote. I loved it then. I love it now. Yeah, and so that's the cool part, Frankie, is that you don't look at it as like, I'm going to walk in the door and I'm going to fall off the wagon, because literally you can't really fall off the wagon. No. If you fall off the wagon, you're going to vomit all over yourself.
That, and I could also end up back where I was a couple months ago.
Yeah, it can
all be undone.
You may need, as somebody pointed out in the chat, you may need those Mario Lopez dude wipes if you fall hard off the wagon. That's good for you, dude. I'm proud of you. Now, your Thanksgiving, Benny, a couple days away. What do you guys do?
Very traditional. We're going to my parents this year, which is fun because I often have to work on Thanksgiving. It's just the beast of television. Someone has to always go in, but this year I get to have it off, and we'll have a very traditional turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, green beans type Thanksgiving at our house. My brother and sister and their families are going to come.
Nice.
And, just sit around, have football on the television.
Yeah. Not great games that day.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter how good the games. It's more background. It's like the background music of Thanksgiving to have football on. So we'll have that on and just spend the afternoon together, and looking forward to it.
As am I.
What time do you eat? You eat really early, don't you?
No, well,
late.
In my family growing up, we ate at like 11.
Like a.m.
A.m.
Yeah, early. That's right.
And then it's kind of cool because you hang out for a couple hours, then you split. And then you go home to your own home and you eat turkey sandwiches. But my wife's family does a little different. We're going to get over there probably about noon, and we'll probably eat about 5.
Yeah, we'll probably eat 4:30 or 5.
It's a long day, but a really, really fun day. She's got a music room with guitars and drums. We go in there and jam. They got a sport court. We'll go out and play pickleball and basketball and baseball. My kids love it. It's right on the golf course, too, in which we will go out. We will hit balls, which we shouldn't do. I think it's illegal. But we will break laws, all of us hitting balls onto the green.
Prosecuted.
I'd
love to see that case.
Yep.
State of California v. Woods.
You
He's
got
accused of hitting golf balls on Thanksgiving on the course without authorization.
That's exactly right. It's really a fun, special day, and get to spend it with family. And I don't really imbibe on Thanksgiving too much.
No red wine.
Not really.
Red wine. I had a
No.
little vino usually.
I usually take like a soda with me, like a Coke. And
you're big on the bring your own soda. That's
am.
the first party you ever came to at my
Had a
house.
Dr.
Woods
Pepper.
showed up with his own Dr. Pepper. He's only mildly offended.
I don't trust.
Don't you not think we're going to provide you with adequate beverages at our home?
All right, so it's California. Everywhere I go and I want a soda. Oh, what's this? Spindrift. Great. Some club soda with lemon flavor. I just bring my own now. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Everybody's so fancy. Everyone's afraid to use real sodas. Not me. Benny Higgins has arrived. He is in studio. Is our guest coming up?
Yeah, he's just about, in fact, he just arrived in the lobby. I'll go down and get him. It's one of the reasons I wanted to be here. I'm looking forward to talking with Jim Brogan. He is a former NBA player. You probably saw him on some local coverage like Aztecs over the years. He's done some TV, but he's also a top-level mental coach for some of the great athletes in various sports, not just basketball, but football as well. He's worked
Baseball,
with quarterbacks. Baseball as well, and we're going to get some tips and stories from Jim Brogan coming up in our next half hour as he joins us in studio. So definitely looking forward to that. Glad I made it in time. I'm going to go down and let him into the lobby, bring him up on the elevator, and we will talk to Jim Brogan
Excited.
to start our 8 o'clock hour. Frank, we're all proud of you, and a lot of support there in the chat. It's amazing how many people have gone down that road as well. So good luck to Frank in the future. We'll be right back with more Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Ben Higgins just coming in out of the bullpen after a rough night in the ER with his son. That's leadership.
I mean, all I did was sit in a folding chair for 5 hours, but I guess that's one way to lead.
Yeah. You came in, and now you're with us for the second half of the show. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that our guest is here as well.
Yeah, let's introduce him. He's come in studio here today. He is a former NBA player, played for the San Diego Clippers in the early 80s. In fact, went to the sports arena, watched him a few times when I was growing up, and since then he has become a leading mental skills coach for some of the top professional college athletes in the United States. It's my pleasure to welcome Jim Brogan of Jim Brogan Consulting in with us here on Ben & Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Jim, it is good to have you.
Guys, it is great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And Woodsy, I got to tell you, it's, we talked just a little bit before I got here and the mental side of it. And look what Ben just went through. I mean, that's an example right there of being up all night because it's your son. I mean, the most important part of everyone's life is their kids. And he powers through it mentally. Sure, physically he's drained, but the mental toll that it can take on a person, especially when it deals with your son or your daughter, it's tough. And he's here.
He is.
That shows you the mental strength, not mental toughness, the mental strength. And there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, there's no question. And this is such an aspect of sports that I am truly riveted by, fascinated by, the edge that one can get from being mentally strong, mentally tough, or whatever phrase you want to use. It's something for me, and I mentioned to you before, grew up playing sports. The mentality was never really talked about. It was the fundamentals of how to hit, how to field, how to throw. No one ever sat me down and said, do you know why your at-bats are so bad? Because you're mentally weak. Like, when I would go up there, Jim, I swear to God, and it's hard to admit, but when I would go up there, I was talking to my dad about it, he was in town, and I said, Pops, I used to step in there going, oh no, oh God, oh crap, oh boy, oh no, please God, you don't want to strike out. I would hit a little weak nubber back to shortstop, and I would be so happy because I didn't strike out. And it's just the most worthless headspace that one can be in. So now, as a coach, and I'm coaching these little kids, I don't know that they even know what the word mentality means, but I am beating it into their heads at every chance I get. When they walk up to the plate, expect to do great, expect to do damage, want to do it. Right? Don't be afraid to fail. All of these things. And I'm sure, we're talking about 6-year-olds here, Jim. You're dealing with some of the top elite athletes in the world. They've been to the mountaintop. How do they stay there? I think that's where a guy like you comes in.
Well, you're wonderful in what you're saying to those young kids because it does make a difference. And I've been very fortunate being around some neurologists for the last 41 years, learning about the brain. I'm on the science side of it, so that it sticks as opposed to the motivational, inspirational side, because what we talk about, there has to be some type of jump neurologically so it becomes part of a person's personality, it becomes part of their makeup, it becomes part of their ethos so that they can make it consistent. They can make these choices consistently throughout their life. And it's a challenge because you've got to get to know people. One of the things that we do is we sit down, we ask a plethora of questions to find out, what's your favorite color? What was your first date when you were in high school? What was a tough time you had when you were a kid? Because then you can really find out about a person, and then you can start really putting in processes because everyone's different. You can't put everyone into the same box. It's not possible. So that's what's really unique about what we do.
I'm curious, Jim, how much of a difference do you feel like you can make? Obviously, I'm never going to be able to compete in the 100-meter dash in the Olympics. I'm as slow as molasses. I could have the right mentality. Never going to happen for me. So there is certainly a physical element to being a champion, a high-level professional player in any sport. But I think of quotes. I'm a golfer. Jack Nicklaus always said golf is 90% mental, 10% physical. Yogi Berra famously said baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. So what kind of difference can it make? You see these top-level athletes. Is it more important to be dialed in mentally or to have the physical edge when you are an NBA player or an NFL player at the highest of levels?
Great question. And when you get to the highest levels, you are already athletically able to do what's required. There's a prerequisite that it helps to be quick, strong, fast. Those are the, barometers that you've got to hit. When you get to the other side, on the mental side, on the science side, when you see people have a really difficult time, and I work with a lot of offensive coordinators in the NFL, and you never see a guy go out, and it happened, matter of fact, the other night on a game, that the defensive player makes a mistake and he gets called for a foul. And the referee throws that yellow flag and he looks at the ref and goes, "What are you doing? Are you kidding me?" And you can tell just by his body language, his head jerking in his helmet, he's all upset. We've taught offensive coordinators go right back at that guy. Why? He's having what they call an amygdala attack. Wow. Amygdala, amygdala attack. And that's in neurology. That's happening in the brain. So it secretes a chemical out of this little gland on the right side of your brain. And you got to remember, that chemical now stays in your brain. You actually cannot focus. It's like a man and a wife, a husband and a wife, and they're fighting. And one of them says something really derogatory towards the other one, doesn't really mean it, and doesn't even know they said it because they're having a slight amygdala attack. And amygdala attacks can last anywhere up from a minute all the way up to 9 to 12 minutes. So now you're asking an athlete who's all of a sudden gotten really pissed off and is upset, or they're at the plate, and all of a sudden, I had a couple pro baseball players I worked with where they look at the ump, and now they're pissed because they knew it wasn't a strike. Yeah. The ump called it a strike. You can see in their body language, they're upset. Now all of a sudden, they got to go back in there, and someone's going to throw an object at them, 94, 95 miles an hour, and they have to be conscious of being able to bring a bat around at a certain angle to hit it. Well, that's going to be extremely an arduous process because they've had this amygdala attack. And remember now, every 23 seconds, the entire amount of blood goes through your body. Every 23 seconds. You pump about 4,000 gallons of blood a day. We're really fascinating vessels. We're fascinating human beings. And yet people think small. People allow the mental side to bring them down. You got those 6-year-olds, God love you, Woodsy, you're working with them, and they're just, they're throwing tantrums. I can't. And to calm them down because they are having these slight little amygdala attacks. And it becomes part of who they are. Yeah, man. Because it also creates, he cares about me. He's paying attention to me because when I get upset and pissed off, they're paying attention to me. There are pro athletes, guys, that do that. Wow. They get the attention. And attention is a big part of a person's life. You're recognizing me now. So I'll do the things that aren't within what the team is about, and I'll get your attention. And it becomes habitual for a lot of guys from high school, a lot of women through high school, college, and the pros.
I am actually, we're talking to Jim Brogan here, mental skills coach, works with a lot of athletes, author. It's funny because I'm literally going through this right now with my 6-year-old, and it happened again yesterday at his baseball camp. Hits the ball hard, tears start flowing. And I'm like, you did your job, man. But he sees me react when he's, bobbing his head and he starts crying. And it's like, one of the other coaches goes, "Hey, man, at least he cares." I said, yeah, I'm glad that he cares, right? I'm glad that he cares and wants to win and get a hit every time. But it may be the wrong sport for you if you expect to get a hit in baseball every single time. So we're really having a hard time. As it pertains to the amygdala attacks, what can I do better to help mitigate that, or when he's going through one, what's the best course of action?
Well, first and foremost is he's got to breathe through his nose. Okay. Can't breathe through his mouth. He's got to learn to breathe through his nose. And again, we go back to the science side of it. The other thing you're talking about is give him solutions before he even goes out to the baseball field. Prepare him by giving them solutions. So that's one of the things we do. If these certain events happen, that's why we don't train people. We coach, mentor, and give solutions. Training people is like training a dog, or you're going to SeaWorld and you're going to train the dolphins to do certain things. You don't want to train kids. You want to mentor them, coach them, and then give them solutions. I do something, and I'll give away one of the secrets of our sauce. We ask people to draw pictures of success. You can do this down to, and at 6, it's going to be challenging. When they get to 9, 10, 11, then there's part of those neural pathways that are in place. But we ask people to draw pictures of success. I'd be fascinated to take your son and say, let me ask you a question here. I want you to draw a picture of success. What would it be? We have adults that actually look at us and say, well, what do you want me to draw? I don't know. What's success to you? Right. What do you think it is? I did this with a whole group of, I won't say what industry it was, but we had 32 people in a class. had paper and pen right in front of them, and we asked them to draw a picture of success. What would be success to you? And it's fascinating what people draw. We have people looking at other people's papers.
Man.
These are adults, highly educated people
Yeah.
looking at other people's papers.
What did you draw?
Oh my gosh, what are we doing here, folks? So with a 6-year-old, if you can start getting him to do certain things, we'd actually have him start doing a little 2-ball dribbling in the morning. Why? We want to increase the electricity in his brain.
Yep.
We'd actually try to start jumping rope, and it's going to be an arduous process in the beginning. And he's thinking he's failing as opposed to saying, no, you're learning. Every time you make a mistake, you're learning what not to do. So let's see if we can just get a couple in. Why? This is one of the things we do with people, and I've worked with stroke patients, blind people. We attempt to get the brain to work quicker. We can increase the electricity. We can increase their ability to think. We can increase their ability to pause when we increase the electricity in the brain.
That's absolutely fascinating.
We're talking to Jim Brogan of Jim Brogan Consulting. So what would you say, I mean, a mental skills coach, how would you describe yourself, just so I can introduce you properly, I guess?
It's interesting. I get a lot of people say that he trains people, and I say, stop.
Not
Don't
trains.
do that.
Yeah, I don't want to say the
Don't tell
wrong
me
words.
I train people. But it is. It's a mental side of what are 3 of the top areas you would like to accomplish, and let's write them down. When you write them down now, we'll go from that strategy of what it is you want to accomplish, and then we'll tactically fill it in. And it's got to be done something every day. For example, I can tell you right now, I can increase your kids, especially Woods, you have a 60-year-old. Now, Ben's son, Graham, is 19, he's a little older. But when your kids see what you do, and I don't know if it's ever happened to you, and I know Ben's father, and I can see how fastidious Ben and his brothers were. The dad was that way.
Yep.
The dad was very fastidious. He was very organized. 83% of what kids learn is by sight.
Oh, great.
They watch.
Oh, no.
Now we're in trouble, folks. But they watch what you do. That's how they learn. Has anyone ever said to you, when my wife met my mother and father for the first time, my wife said to me, God, you're just like your father. Why? I watched my father grow up from 1 to 18, and I was gone out the door at 18 off to college. I come home for a month or two. I watched. You learn more by sight than you do by sound. 83% by sight. I'm begging everyone out there, if you're a parent, let your kids see you read in the morning or when you get home at night. I don't care if you open the book and you're not even reading. Just open the book and let them see what you're doing.
Set a good example, Woods.
That's
there you go.
What he's saying. Set a good example.
Ben. You got to set the example, and they need to see. Let me emphasize, they need to see the example. So please don't drive the car and text. Why are so many 16 to 22-year-olds getting in car accidents? They saw that their mom and dad were using the phone when they were driving.
Yeah.
You can tell them not to do it, but if they've seen it already, it's locked in.
That's it.
So you brought some tools of the trade. I want to ask you, so let's say someone comes to you, whether they're a football player, a basketball player, how do you start the process? Obviously, maybe have them draw a picture of success, but what is your process like with let's say a top level athlete?
Even a business person that we work with, CEOs, attorneys, et cetera, we first I ask a plethora of questions. I need to determine what is their thinking. Are they thinking small? Are they thinking big? Are they thinking, what's the possibilities if we fill in the blank? What's the chance if we fill in the blank? Do they have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Carol Dweck wrote a fantastic book. I've read the book 5 times so that I understand the methodologies of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. That is a big determination when you're working with a person, because I'm about growth, and growth is a struggle. And remember, the success in life is in the struggle, period. Matter of fact, that's so important. Let's write that down in your success journal. So we give every client, business, sports, a success journal. Why? We need to see what they're writing down. Just because you hear me doesn't mean you're listening. I can speak with you guys about something for 5 minutes and say, okay, guys, write down what are the top 3 things you just got from my presentation in 5 minutes. Then what you write down and what Woodsy writes down might be something different. That's really crucial to understand.
I'd be looking on his paper to see what he wrote. the student.
I do tend to have the right answer.
He usually
so,
does.
yeah.
Let's take a quick break. You can stay for a bit?
Yes.
Oh, this is great.
Right,
Our audience is absolutely loving this. This is phenomenal.
We'll take a timeout. I know you don't always reveal what professional athletes you work with. I understand there's some confidentiality there, but I would love to hear some of your success stories over the past few years. If you could share a couple with us.
Leave names
at
out
some
of it.
point. You don't have to name all the names. He got name checked on television just the other day when they were talking about Jameis
Oh,
Winston.
yes.
That
You
wasn't
did.
him. He didn't say it. I saw it on TV.
That 15 seconds that Ryan Fitzpatrick said something about my work with Jameis, which was wonderful. I've gotten over 80 emails. Five coaches from the NFL have called me and asked me questions because
he looked very mentally strong in the snow. I will say that last
really
Thursday.
did.
He looked really mentally strong
And
in that game.
his skills, like on the mic now, he is turning into one of the most riveting NFL players. Period. The end. Period. The end. So
we'll,
stay right here.
We'll talk more with Jim Brogan when we come back. Quick check of traffic, and then more Ben and Woods on the other side on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
whether it be sports, business. He's got a great insight, and he has coached many of the best. And I was going to ask you for some of your success stories, but I just saw in our chat, I don't know that I can find a better success story than this. Edward just put in our YouTube stream, my son attended Jim's basketball camp years ago. And they still say around the house, do you want to be average or excellent? They still say that. And guess what? His son is now a Navy SEAL.
A Navy SEAL?
Jim. So there's a success story right there from a basketball camp that you did years ago from our listener, Edward.
Edward, thank you so much. And that's the legacy I get to leave behind. I'll tell a quick story. My wife and I, we didn't have kids. We couldn't have them. So, that's why I wrote the book. And I wrote it with two of the best people on the planet, a former captain of special operations for the Navy SEALs, and also a former president of Nestle, the largest food company in the world. And leaving behind something, I think, is the greatest value you can add. And Edward says that's why I do this. That's why I still do these little basketball academies on the side, because as a former pro, I can speak with other former pros, or I can speak with young people because I've been there, done that. So it's a simple process to put a ball in a hoop or throw a football to a person or hit a baseball. It's, can you lead? And I look at the system that so many people are in today. How come we don't have a leadership class year after year after year, and you're given a position to lead? I don't care if it's another person or a group of people. And we see so much in this country that we have a lack of leadership. Well, you're not teaching it in these formal educational systems.
Yeah.
And I'm not bashing our formal educational system. We have the best on the planet. I'm just saying, this is 2025 we're going into. Could we add some value to some areas that will be, talents, skills, areas that will assist a person to be better, to show a person, hey, I know how to lead. Let's go.
You talk about, Jim Brogan joins us here on Ben and Woods this morning, and you talk about the question Ben asked. Once you get to that highest level, you know how to swing a bat. You know how to throw a ball. You know how to dribble. You know how to pass. You know how to shoot. You know how to throw a football. I've always thought those athletes that spend their time, golfer, it's huge for golf. The brain in golf is, and I've only been playing a short time, but once the mind starts going, the game is gone. Now I know how to swing. I know how to putt. I know how to chip. But once the mind starts going, saying, you're going to skull this or you're going to blade it, there's no way you can do this. You're done. You're done for the day. And the guys that spend time with you, do they come to you, do many of them come to you when they're already broken, or do they come to you when they're, hey, things are pretty good, but I feel like this is the one area I could maybe work on a little bit, is my mental acuity, my mental strength?
That's the one question. You hit it right there. That's it. What is it that you're looking for? What's the one or two areas that you're looking for that's going to make you mentally strong? Mentally tough comes in a moment. Mentally strong comes throughout your career, your life. And so let's talk about that. Let's discuss what are ways that we can apply it, because we're about application. That's the key, is, are we applying it consistently? So again, we go back to this writing. It's fascinating when people will write things down. You really get to have an insight into their thinking methodologies. So again, we ask these open-ended questions that are, 2 and 3 in the question that we ask, to find out, what are they thinking? Hey, what do you do when you throw an interception? What are the two or three things you do when you throw an interception and you walk off the field? What do you do? Because God forbid we don't want to see you hang your head. You're telling everybody on the team and you're telling everybody in the stadium, feel sorry for me. They don't. They will not feel sorry for you.
No.
Walk off. I made a mistake. Let me go look at the film so I don't make that same mistake twice. You're going to throw an interception. There's not one NFL quarterback that went through an NFL season without throwing an interception. When you score a touchdown, don't go absolutely nuts. You're expected to do that.
Yeah.
Act like you've been there, done that. And you actually go over it similar to what a director would do in a play with the people that are in the play, the thespians.
Yeah.
You do. You go over it and you rehearse it over and over again. And people say, that's training. I said, no, it's not. It's preparing them for what is going to happen.
What's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable you're going to throw an interception. It's inevitable you're going to ground into a double play. It's inevitable you're going to hang a slider. I mean, it's inevitable. It happens to every single one of them. That's the message that I'm...
Well, you asked me about guys I worked with. I'll tell you about a young man that was here in San Diego at the time, and it was Cole Hamels. He pitched here at Rancho Bernardo.
Yep.
And we had him, and I'm going to give away a secret now, so I don't want everybody using this.
Write it in your journal.
We had him throwing the ball with one eye, then had him throwing with the other eye, then he had him throwing with his eyes closed. And he had to tell us where the ball went with his eyes closed from 60 feet, 6 inches, where he actually released the ball at about 53 feet because he's so far down the mound. He's so tall. So we actually do a lot of our exercises with our eyes closed, especially on the kinesthetic side with professional athletes or amateur athletes. For me personally, as a former pro athlete, why do I need my eyes open to swish a ball? We can all remember the highlight of Michael Jordan, who did it with his eyes closed. And I'm looking at that going, I've been doing that for years, brother. That's nothing new to me. Why? You do it with your eyes closed, and there's consistency to it, and you know you're doing it. See, there's a difference between believe and know. There's a huge difference between believe and know. Believe gives you an out. Know, it's going to get done. So we're very particular in the words that people utilize. We don't want you working harder. Woodsy, you got a 6-year-old. We don't want him working harder. And he'll hear that throughout school. And so you confuse him because the brain looks at hard as if I took my phone and threw it at your head from about 10 feet.
Right.
That's hard. The phone's hard. It's got plastic and metal in it. You confuse an adult when you say, we got to work harder. I was at a company recently, and I heard the national sales manager telling people we got to work harder. And I'm in the back shaking my head going, don't say that. Please, dear God, don't say that.
Yeah.
Let's work efficiently, effectively, and then let's ask all these salespeople, what would they do daily to work efficiently, effectively, and then how are we going to measure it?
That's incredible, and it brings up. I was taught. My dad was in town, and he worked for GE for many years. And
Big company.
His mentor was Jack Welch.
Oh wow!
And he was telling me a story about how him and his cronies in the Dallas office, they all got together, did a full overnight session on the budgets, and they called Jack. All right, we got the budgets all ready, and we're gonna have to let this receptionist go. What we got, we've saved all this money. And Jack, my dad said, Jack got on the phone and said, guys. You guys worry about selling. Let me worry about making $1, okay? I don't need my top producers making copies. So I don't want to let that receptionist go. I don't need 6 of my guys waiting in line to make the copies that she normally handles and does all the busy work and everything. I need you selling. Don't worry about, let me worry about making $1. You guys worry about going out and selling. And I said, man, what a great lesson. And from a, obviously a titan in the industry. And it's just the efficiency. And I think I'm guilty of it as well. Of like, I've said it to our guys. Well, we need to work harder. We need to work harder. We need to do this. We need to do that. And it's not the right course of action.
If you put alongside of that, we need to do this, we need to do that, great. Okay, write it down for me, and let's put a timeline next to it. That's why I gave you guys that real big poster calendar.
I love that.
The poster calendar we give to every client. Why? The most valuable thing in your life is not just your family, it's your time.
Yes.
People don't realize how fast time went. That book that you have there, Bullets, Basketballs, and Boardrooms, the book, we thought it would be about a little over 2-year process to put together. It took us 4.5 years to write that book. 4.5 years. So people don't understand the value of time, and they don't see the value of time. That's why we made this big poster calendar so you can put up there dates you're going on vacation, especially for young people. They don't realize how fast time goes. So put up there, hey, let's take that 6-year-old Woodsy's kid, and in the morning, let's just hit 10 balls off the tee right-handed and 5 balls off the tee left-handed. That's it. It's going to take him 50 seconds. And I'm on this radio show right now. I'm telling you, if we're all still here and I come back in 3 years, his son will hit the ball more. It'll be on the meat of the bat more. Why? He did something that's so marginal, people don't think it's a big deal. Yeah. But it has what they call the compound effect. The marginal adjustment with the compound effect changes your life. So that's why we ask people to read 10 pages of a book a day. I mean, look at this point right now up until November, this day. If you read 10 pages of a book, you're almost through at least one, maybe 1.5 books.
Oh, yeah.
Most people don't read in this country because they're stuck on watching TikTok and YouTube, and they're great platforms. I'm not bashing them. I'm just saying reading does make a difference. And 10 pages a day, you can do that while you're sitting in your car.
Yeah.
Compound effect, like interest. If you invested, $10 100 years ago, you have millions now, and you don't have to put millions in the bank now. You just put a little bit, and it'll just keep growing and growing and growing.
It's the example of, do you want a penny a day doubled every day for 31 days, or do you want $1 million right now?
Right.
So which one do you want?
You'd have more if you had the penny a day doubled for how many days?
Over 31 days,
31
it was
days.
$10 million over 31 days. People miss the compound effect in their life.
Yes, big time. When I decide to get in shape or do it, I just go, I dive in full. And then guess what? I burn out. And then I don't do anything for weeks. And instead of the incremental, make some moves every day, make sure you're doing something. It's such a good lesson, man. Such a good lesson. I've learned a ton.
Before you go, Jim, and thank you so much for this time. I think our audiences appreciated it as well.
Got a book order already in there. There you go.
I've known
Thank you, everybody. That's great.
20 plus years, and something I've always been curious about. You've talked about working with Cole Hamels, working with quarterbacks in the NFL. You have a basketball background. You're a pro basketball player. I kind of know how pro athletes think from covering them, and they go, hey, he was a basketball player. He knows what I was going through, so I will listen to him. How do you get the guys to listen in the other sports, knowing that you didn't come from their background, from football or from baseball?
Well, it helps because they know I was a former pro athlete, so we can speak eye to eye there. They do some research or due diligence, and they find out that I've worked with Cole Hamels.
It's the compound effect.
The compound effect,
That's it. And Drew Brees and Jameis Winston and some pro golfers. Some people actually ask me not to release their name, which I understand. And I've been privileged to work with a guy came from my high school. I mean, Kobe Bryant, one of the best to play the game. And it's a matter of really getting their trust and then saying, okay, what do we need to do differently that everyone else is not doing? You know, hitting balls with your eyes closed off the tee, throwing the ball, swishing the ball. We are such fabulous human beings, and yet we think so average because of sometimes the people around. And remember, you are a culmination, me right now, everyone in this room, everyone listening, you're a culmination of what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, and the people you're around. So if you would really take a check of that and write down, what do I watch consistently? What do I read consistently? Maybe I'm not even reading. Who am I around? What type of language are they using on a consistent basis? That's where people don't understand. That's what the brain becomes. It repeats what it hears, what it listens to, what it watches. And again, we go back to 83% is how I learn is through sight, 11% through hearing. So there you go. Those two senses right there. When I start to work with people, then it's important that we have an understanding. And that's why we do a lot of drawing, because then I get the insight where how they're thinking. Then I can all of a sudden make those slight marginal changes, slight, because it can't be done all at once. That's why it takes months, sometimes years, especially in the business world. It might take years. But the wonderful part is people are willing to go through it. And it's a struggle. Why? The success is in the struggle. That's why the wristband I gave you guys that has the word attitude, courage, and goals, that came from over 125 interviews that I've done over 41 years of some of the top people in this country that have accomplished amazing feats, that they talked about the word attitude, they talked about the word courage, and they talked about the word goals. That's why I put it on the wristband. That's why I put it on the big poster calendar, so people see it every day. The power of sight is amazing with people.
Such good stuff, man.
Illuminating. Jim, thank you so much for coming in this morning. I think that was fantastic. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys are wonderful. Thank you for having me. I love listening to you guys. It's a treat. It always puts a smile on my face.
Thank you so much.
We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour with a little more content. I want to get Frank involved with his the soundboard.
Yeah.
He's not Pauly yet when it comes to our drops.
About
and I
this.
want him to feel more free.
Yeah.
About using Pauly's soundboard over there. So we're going to open up a new world for you, Frankie.
Oh, goody.
It's coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. of wisdom.
So much.
And as he just said, everyone listening probably will remember something different from those two segments with Jim. Whatever made an impression on you, though, that's what's important, and that's that's what your focus and goals are going forward. For me, it was when he talked about time efficiency. It's something that I have developed in my life because I've had to. With 2 jobs and the weird schedule that I have, I can't afford not to be an efficient worker. It's not about working harder. It's about being more efficient in what I do, and that really resonated with me.
Yeah, for me, obviously, it's how I'm doing pretty much everything wrong as a dad.
I don't think that's true.
No, I mean, we've had the roughest 22 days from the Sunday game to where I sat him on the bench and to yesterday's game where we had a knockdown drag out after a camp that it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be that way. And I feel armed now with some way better tools. And I think, a lot of the coaches and dads and moms out there that are working with their kids in sports, it's stuff like that. It's not even, it's for me. Like, it's for me to know. And because I'm doing it wrong. I am doing it wrong, and I realize that. So I need to be better, and I feel a lot more armed today than I did yesterday.
Jim mentioned Drew Brees there at the end. And, obviously Jim would say this and be the first to say it. Drew worked incredibly hard to get to where he is. A Hall of Fame quarterback, Super Bowl champion, and what he did. But I don't think it's a coincidence that, remember when Drew Brees was pretty much an afterthought, was going to be replaced by Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, and then all of a sudden had that great season, and then we had a quarterback controversy. Not a coincidence that's when he started working with Jim Brogan.
That's fantastic, man. Holy cow. That's fantastic.
So great stuff. And if you need any contact information, you can email us, and it's Jim Brogan Consulting. If you want to go online and find out more about what he does and want to learn more from Jim, that was really great. We're going to check traffic, and then Frankie's going to open up Paulie's soundboard.
We're going to turn you loose.
Yeah, we're going to turn him loose coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. What a great job you did, Frank, filling in for Paul yesterday, and how much we enjoy having you. But we're also noticing that you are not quite as enthusiastic with your use of the soundboard of our drops.
Gun shy.
Because that's not what I'm used to. Listening to radio, like we were talking about earlier, listening to radio in New York, you don't. I mean, of course, the morning shows do it, but
this is Ben and Woods. And
this isn't something I'm used to doing, hearing, having a feel for.
And I think this is important to both of us, but especially Woods. If you're going to be a regular part of the show, and we want you to be a regular part of the show, you're going to have to open up the soundboard a little bit. So I want you to start, get it open. Is it open? You have it?
They're both here. They're both here and ready to go.
What are you afraid of? Just start.
There's nothing I'm afraid of. It's just
breathe through your nose. Don't have an amygdala right now.
I'm not used to it. This is beyond out of the comfort zone.
This is not WFAN. We're not going to be ripping the Jets head coach for 4 hours. This is not what we do in the morning. We need some sound drops.
We're not? Oh, come on, man. This is what I'm here for, though. Ripping the Jets for 4 hours.
Send it.
Oh, where do we begin?
It's a little intimidating, isn't it?
It is, because there's a lot of stuff here.
Well, we're here. We're resources for you. So if you
have
play
questions,
something and you need to learn the context of everything, where it goes in the right spot. This is what we're here for the next, 5 minutes or so. Let's play around and start, what looks interesting to you. I mean, Paulie's got
long 5 minutes.
Hundreds, if not thousands, in there. Pages and pages and pages.
There are certainly hundreds of them. I know what most of them are. I mean, the context is more or less there. It's about finding them. And most of the time when I do think of one, I'm like, oh, well, that'll be funny to throw in there. The time has already passed by the time I found it for it to actually make sense.
The psychology here is fascinating. Pick one. Just instincts. What's your first instinct? Find one and play it.
My life right now.
Sad trombone. Sad trombone always has a spot on the Ben and Wood show.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Me and Scraby were talking on last Wednesday's show, Scraby show. Me and Scraby were talking about how much of a failure our dating lives have been
Sad trombone.
recently. No, it was actually the sad violins is where I went with it.
Now, see, he just opened the door. He just opened the door.
For a couple people here.
I'm fascinated because I'm married. So I'm fascinated by those who date.
Especially in the 21st century here.
Frank, you can't relate to this, but when I wanted to meet a girl, I would have to actually walk up to her and introduce myself. Hello. Can I buy you a drink? Did I see you around campus?
Was this before or after you had to beat them with the stone?
I know, no.
Would you like me to write down my goals for you?
Here's my, have you seen my goal calendar? No, I will not let you look into my journal. Why is the day, you and Scraby, you're both single men.
Yeah. Sam as well, actually. He was a part of that conversation, too.
So it always bugs me when I see single men not exercising their right to be out dating, having a good time.
Right. Privilege.
Yeah, they're privileged. Like, here we are at home.
Dating is a privilege.
We're at home, and I'm very happily married. That said, living vicariously through my single friends is also a very fun exercise. But it doesn't sound like anybody's having any fun or exercise. Why?
No. But for me, especially like this time of year, it doesn't.
It's a great time to meet women.
Yeah,
you know what's a good time to meet women? Always.
No.
You live in San Diego.
I understand that. But again, my thought is I'm really going to start a relationship like right at the gift giving time of the year, like Christmas and Valentine's Day. Like that's really like you in it for me or you in it for the gift I'm going to give you.
You know,
on
when
this day.
my wife and I had our first date, February 13th. Why not?
Hannah and I met on February.
Close enough.
Hannah and I met on February 4th. So 10 days, and she would not go out with me, but I still sent her flowers on Valentine's Day.
Notice how both of you did not say November.
November's a great
or
time
December.
to meet women. Great time to meet women. There's the holidays. It's a fun. Like I said, it's always a good time to meet women. I need to do a segment with Scraby and Italian Paul. And all of you guys you're wasting your prime years is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. I'll just tell it like it is.
I like my bed, man. Like that's my bed is a very nice place. I do wish I had someone to share it with, but that requires going out, which I'm introverted and not good with small talk and stuff like that.
It's hard to meet somebody if you're not good at small talk.
Yeah, I know.
It can be difficult.
I suck at it.
Well,
I'm really bad at it.
Next time you guys have this combo, please call me because I'll come on the air. I want to do a whole couple hours of Love Line with you guys. Because I said earlier in the show, I'd love to do a Love Line segment.
Which might have happened if I hadn't shown up when I did.
That's true.
It's probably deprived the audience of Woods' Love Line segment.
Jocelyn said, I thought Frank had a girlfriend. No, you used to have a girlfriend.
I did a while ago. Before I started working here, actually, I did. Actually, she's the reason why I moved to New York. Because I was, no, not because she was there, because I did the mature adult thing after we broke up, which was run away as far as I possibly could.
Yeah, I've done that too. That happens. That happens from time to time.
You have any happy drops you want to play from the soundboard before we wrap up the hour?
Yeah, sure. I have. Oh, darn it, man! God, I had
he's so
nervous about it.
Yeah, don't be nervous about it. We'll make you do it for the next hour or two. We have nothing else. No, we do have an Italian Paul report.
That's
true. Looking forward to.
We're going to get more Frank coming up in our final hour. We will catch up on anything that maybe I missed earlier in the show, possibly as well.
I wanted your rating of my Aztecs talk, but
you missed it entirely. It's all coming up. It's already 9 a.m. I like this 2-hour show bit on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. today's game?
Yeah, today's game against
11
Creighton.
a.m. tip,
Yep.
Creighton. Yeah,
Yep.
21st ranked Creighton.
Aztecs getting 4.
Okay, that's fair. You know, they're going up against a ranked opponent. Neutral site.
Neutral site, and you had Kalkbrenner, who did not have a great game against Nebraska.
Only
They were
one shot attempt.
They
Crazy.
They were 10.5-point favorites in that game to Nebraska, and they lost. So, again, we talked about Miles Byrd being healthy. We talked about he and Pharaoh Compton needing to make sure they don't cramp up out in the desert. That's going to be really important for Dutcher's team today. But, again, a 4-point spread, you look at it and go, you play the defense that you're capable of playing. Magungwath blocks a couple shots on Kalkbrenner. You're not going to get a 4-point performance by him again. You're not. He averages like 21 points a game. He's a really good player. You're going to have to find a way to neutralize him. And guys like Bird and Pharaoh Compton are going to need to hit shots.
Yeah, what Nebraska did was basically they just fronted and backed him the whole time and again said, hey, three-point line's kind of open for business, and Creighton couldn't hit their shots. Now, they have good shooters. You could do that and get burned by it. So we'll see what the Aztecs' strategy is in that game today. Creighton won't have Stephen Ashworth, who's their veteran guard, transfer from Utah State. That was the problem against Gonzaga. It was Nembhard who just torched him. Could do anything he wanted. Ashworth's the same kind of player, so not facing him kind of evens the playing field a little bit for this game at 11 o'clock this morning. Now, I did hear your Danny Hurley talk, and I thought that was
annoying.
I thought that was good. Now, we just had Jim Brogan in. Feels like Danny Hurley's the kind of guy who has a lot of amygdala attacks.
A lot of amygdala
Yet,
attacks. But it works.
Two-time defending national champion winning coach.
It doesn't make sense to me.
He's a temper tantrum coach to the extreme out there. And you wonder, would they have won? If they had played a single close game in the last two NCAA tournaments, would UConn have won both of those titles? Remember, they won, every single game by double digits in the last 2 years in the tournament? They get into a close one like that, and,
he melts down.
He's kind of a meltdown. So I wonder whether, they just never had to face that situation. But, yeah, I thought that was, the call might have been wrong.
Sure.
But you're in Maui. It's early in the season. Everything's a learning experience. Don't you want to teach your players to overcome a bad call? There's going to be more bad calls over the course of the season. And if that's your response, falling to the ground, melting down, getting a technical foul in a tie game, how can that possibly be the right way to go? And then I look at Brian Dutcher, who, he'll ride the refs a little bit, but he'll do so in a classy way. He's, one of the most dignified, college basketball coaches you'll ever meet. Totally different from Danny Hurley.
You don't see Dutch having to get held back by his assistants and kept off the court from screaming obscenities and loser, and you're a loser, whatever he was screaming at him. It's just not something that you see.
Satan's Blowfish once says, I don't suppose Ben knows offhandedly where to stream SDSU basketball online. Today's game is on TBS. It's nationally televised. If you can stream TBS, go ahead and get it there. Otherwise, turn on your cable or your Direct TV or something and just watch at 11 a.m. This segment of Ben and Woods brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings is football. Hey, San Diego sports fans, head to your local Buffalo Wild Wings. Try their new maple chipotle sauce for rich maple sweetness and a mild, smoky chipotle heat. Or for a bit of kick, check out the new Cajun sauce with a rich blend of spicy and tangy peppers. Stop by your San Diego B-Dubs or order now for takeout and delivery with Buffalo Wild Wings Go. Now, with more Frank, it's time for the Reindl Report.
And get things started here with our
Let's get a name for it.
today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
Two stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And one story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
On our way today,
See if you can work a drop into the Reindl Report today somewhere.
Sure, I'll get right on that. We'll start with the. I don't know if you would consider this an NBA story or a G League story. But Bronny James has received a lot of criticism ever since he was drafted to the Lakers this offseason. But one NBA analyst's criticism is aimed directly at the Lakers. The Lakers have been sending Bronny James down to the G League South Bay Lakers for home games only and calling him back up to the NBA when South Bay goes on the road. Charles Barkley spoke about the situation, saying, quote, "The kid is not ready to play in the NBA. He should be in the G League so he can play basketball. And also, this is where he's going to get playing to... and also, this thing where he's only going to play home games, it's stupid. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the team. Can you imagine the coach of that team? You come off a road trip and you have a player you haven't seen in a week or two, and you probably feel like you got to play him. I don't think they're doing Bronny any favors." End quote, finally. Lakers coach J.J. Redick did not do much to quell these concerns, saying that it was always in the plan to have Bronny split time between L.A. and South Bay. Bronny is only averaging 2.7 minutes in the NBA this season. Personally, I agree with Barkley. Let him play. And the only place he's going to get to play right now is in the G League.
Not going to get any better playing 2.7 minutes in the NBA when you could go down there and actually develop at the G League. And I don't know, and none of us, by the way, will ever really know why they're doing this. We all have our suspicions, that LeBron just wants it to be with him, which is, okay, that's touching in a certain sense of it. It's a touching thing. I want to be with my kid, and he can play, and he's good enough to get 2.7 minutes. But if you really want your son to be a professional basketball player, he needs to play. He's not going to get any better sitting on the bench, I don't think. He's already been around NBA. He's been around one of the best players to ever live his whole life. He's gleaned enough info from you. He needs to go show what he can do.
I would say that I think they don't want it to be a sideshow when he's traveling around for games and going to these other G League courts where it's all just the Bronny show. But I think ultimately Charles is right here. Bronny lost so much time not even competing in college until, halfway through his freshman year because of the heart attack. And then he comes back and he just needs reps. He needs time on the floor, and he's not going to get it in the NBA. And if he's not going to play in the road G League games, then he's only getting halftime. And I think if ultimately you're the superstar's kid, whether you deserve to be there or not, you will prove that eventually. But it's not helping your case.
It's not.
By jetting in and jetting out. It makes you look more like the superstar's kid.
If it were me, and
no special treatment. I want no special treatment, right?
None whatsoever. I mean, he's lived a whole life of special treatment, and let's be honest, he's already been drafted because of special treatment. Now it's up to him to see what he can do with it. It's not like they pulled me out there like, hey man, you play basketball now. No, he's a good basketball player, recruited and everything else. But I think you need minutes. You need to, and he needs to be, Ben, maybe in those arenas where he is a little bit of a sideshow, because that's what he's going to be for a while. The quicker you can get used to it, maybe the quicker you can get over it. But I just think, I think he is doing a disservice. If it is in fact LeBron that is doing the disservice to him, and we all suspect that it is, I think he is.
Yeah, I agree with you on that last point, especially. Let him be the circus.
Yeah.
Because when he's up in the NBA, it's gonna be a circus for him.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, definitely.
It's and LeBron would say, well, it's him being here next to me on the bench, he's learning so much. Bro, he isn't learning anything he hasn't already learned from you, and you can help him more than anybody with his game, even from a distance. You're LeBron James.
Exactly.
Yeah, but Barkley speaking out like that was pretty.
Very few have the chutzpah to.
Yes,
Charles Barkley is definitely one of them.
Yep.
Especially moving to ESPN next year.
Yeah,
great
it's
job.
Great.
Something fun for me to talk about, and I'm sure Jesse Agler will be chewing all over this as well, is schedule moves in Major League Baseball. The fun with the Tampa Bay Rays is far from over, and there's still 2.5 months left before the regular season starts. After announcing that the Rays will be playing their home games at Steinbrenner Field, the Yankees spring training facility in Tampa, right across the freeway from where the Bucks play also, by the way.
Raymond James Stadium.
That's the one. Major League Baseball has done some tweaking to their schedule. The Rays will now play 19 of their first 22 games at home after a series in Anaheim was flipped. So Anaheim was supposed to go there in April, and then Tampa was supposed to go out here in July. They flipped that. So now Anaheim's going out there in April. I lost where I was. It was flipped. Oh my goodness!
I'll jump in here.
No, I got it again.
Okay.
Series 37 of the first 54 games at home will be at home this season after a series with the Twins was flipped. So they were supposed to go to Minnesota in June. Now the Twins are going there in May. After May 28th, the Rays will play 64 of 108 games on the road. Now, it is worth noting that the schedule was released long before Hurricane Milton made Tropicana Field unfit for baseball. Part of the reason for the switch is something that the Rays haven't had to worry about in their history: rain in Tampa Bay. Average monthly rainfall in April and May over the last 30 years has maxed out at about 2.6 inches of rain. That number rose between 3 and 7 inches from June to September. So there is a legitimate reason for the top-heavy home schedule, but it does look strange getting most of your home games out of the way, basically in the first 2 months of the year.
It's a nightmare if you're a Rays player, knowing you've got 70% of your road games kind of down the stretch, the dog days of summer, and you are constantly on the road. But no one wants to have to make up like multiple rainouts in a row, because Florida in the summer needs to be indoors. That's why they have the retractable roof in Miami, and it's why they play in the Dome in Tampa. It's just too rainy there to play in those late summer months. So an outdoor stadium is going to come with new problems, just as the Athletics are going to play a lot of night games because it's too dang hot to play in Sacramento for most of the year. So they've scheduled an abundance of night games and some early season games to try to avoid the maximum heat of the Central California Valley in the middle of summer. So neither of these teams playing in non-major league parks are going to have ideal schedules this season.
Not going to be aesthetically very pleasing, and if you're a member of one of those teams, you're not going to be super stoked with how your season is. It's a hard season. It's a long season, regardless. Even if conditions
for once,
are perfect.
the Rays and the A's are going to have trouble signing free agents this offseason.
Man,
the gravy train is over, guys. You can't just continue buying every player you want every offseason.
Their owners are probably elated. Like, I mean, why would we? Nobody wants to sign here.
We can offer more, and they'll still say no.
Correct.
This is awesome.
Correct.
But again, it's also worth noting that they only changed 2 series.
Yeah.
Anaheim and Minnesota. So their schedule was already built like this before they knew that they were going to be playing at
Padres
Steinbrenner
unaffected
Field.
because the only series is here in San Diego against Tampa Bay.
They are coming here. So this last one's going to be rather quick. Rams wide receiver.
No, it won't.
Well,
you're doing that one.
On my end, it will be. Rams wide receiver Demarcus Robinson wasn't done after Sunday Night Football. After the Rams lost to the Eagles, Robinson decided to have a night on the town. Nothing wrong with that. The problems all started around 5 a.m. yesterday morning, right when you and I, Woodsy, got here, when Robinson was pulled over on an L.A. freeway doing 100. He was then arrested on suspicion of DUI. Robinson refused to perform a field sobriety test and pulled a Marcelo Zuna by giving his name and occupation to the cop.
Oh, no.
Robinson was cited and released as of writing this right now. The Rams nor Robinson have commented.
DUI, though.
A suspicion of DUI.
They really need to lift the ban on NFL players using Ubers or Lyfts. I don't know why that's in place. It seems like they should be allowed to use rideshare services like the rest of us, but apparently,
look at you.
Apparently, they're not allowed to do
the
responsible thing.
You know the drill. Every NFL player has a card.
A card, yes.
All you got to do is call the number.
Free of charge.
No questions asked.
Ride anytime you want.
Anywhere you want. Any time of day.
Can you imagine what a great thing that would be? Just like, I got this card. I can get a free ride anytime I want.
I would be.
I got to go to the airport.
I'd be
free ride.
in bars going, who wants a ride? Watch this. Look what I can do. What in the world? I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
All the time, too.
All the time.
It's all
and, you know,
the time.
Think about what happened with, what was his name, Henry Ruggs? Guys is sitting in prison, killed people. You know, and it's like, bro, it's such a cautionary tale. There's one of a million of them.
This is just that was one of the more recent cautionary tales.
Yeah, 100%. There's no reason that dude should be jamming down the freeway at 100 miles an hour.
And for the chat, I was kidding about the ban on Uber and Lyft rides for NFL players. They can, in fact, use them just like the rest of us.
They absolutely can.
They can afford it more easily.
They don't even have to.
And they don't even have to.
Because they got the card. They got the card. All you got to do is call the number on it. They'll pick you up wherever you are. They'll take you wherever you want to go. They'll come back and get your car for you, actually. They bring two guys, one to take you home and one to drive your car home. It literally, they couldn't make it any easier unless they came and put shackles on you and dragged you out. They couldn't make it any easier for you.
Thank you, Frankie.
Game over.
There you go.
Look at you
I love it.
now.
I haven't heard that one in a while.
I don't think I've ever heard it.
Paul's he's got stories that we don't even know about.
100%.
That's fantastic. Quick tweet here from Sean Thomas 39. Says, anyone know what happened to Ben Higgins SC? Was listening on the show to the way to work this morning. Wood says he'll have an update on him when we know. Do we know anything yet, Woods?
I've not heard anything.
Okay.
I hope he's okay.
I hope so too. Really do. I missed the first hour and a half of the show. My son and my 19-year-old went to the emergency room at 1 a.m. I took him. I was with him for several hours. He's doing okay. He's back home and resting. Had some very unusual, very painful abdominal something, and he was in agony. But whatever it was has passed, and he's doing all right.
Good.
So,
you checked on him?
He's sleeping, I believe.
Okay, good.
So, yeah.
Good.
I do have to pick up a prescription on my way home for him.
Okay, good.
But
Good,
otherwise, we're good to go right now. Thank you for checking in, Sean. That's your update on Ben Higgins.
He is doing just fine.
All right, we'll come back after a check of traffic. We do have some Aztec tickets to give away. Last college football game of the season here in San Diego. Well, other than the Holiday Bowl, but last one involving San Diego State. If you want to go see it, you'll have a chance to win those coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Winner, front line winner, check that you're on Vega line.
All right, here we go. Oh, yeah.
Black 17 on.
That is my number.
All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
single morning. Steampunk Elf X says, if I win the British National Lottery, I am definitely moving to San Diego. Had to scrape ice off the windscreen this morning. Oh, the inhumanity of it. Well, first of all, Steampunk Elf X, we call them windshields.
What do they call it?
Here in America.
Windscreen.
Windscreens.
Wait, maybe that meant at his house.
I think he meant off the
car?
The car. I think they call them windscreens
Do they?
instead of windshields.
Those Brits.
We call them chips, not crisps, and they're cookies, not biscuits. So you're going to have to get used to that if you do move here to San Diego.
So fish and chips, though, is fries.
Chips are fries.
Chips are fries.
We call chips, they call crisps what we call chips. They call chips what we call fries. And they call cookies biscuits. I have no idea what they call biscuits, though. If you go to Popeyes and you get chicken and biscuits in England, no idea. They don't have a name for it because they've already used biscuits.
Chicken and cookies.
For cookies.
Yeah.
And I don't want chicken and cookies.
Do they have Popeyes in England? And by the way, when's the last time you went to Popeyes?
About 3 days ago, actually.
Get out of here!
Right by the goat, and my son said, hey, can you get me one of those chicken sandwiches? So I got myself some tenders, too. And they were good. They were tasty, Woods. They were very good.
Oh, I definitely mess with Popeyes, dude. I definitely do. Definitely. He says it's not called a windshield. It's a windscreen.
Now, here it's a windshield.
That's what I thought.
I'm just preparing him in case he does win the what is it? The British Lottery?
British National Lottery.
Yeah, and then makes the move to San Diego.
Well, also over there this morning, it's probably 4 degrees Celsius.
How much is that in Fahrenheit?
I have no idea. 36? Is that right? Is it
No, it's not. It's not a 1-to-1 though. It'd probably be around 40.
Okay.
41, I think, if it's 4 degrees Celsius.
Wait, what do you mean it's not a 1-to-1?
Well, 0 is 32. We know that. 0 Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit, but like 1 Celsius is not 33. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio.
Why
Because
not?
100 Celsius is 212 Fahrenheit. That's boiling water. So every 1 Celsius is about a little more than 2 Fahrenheit. So
are they the weird ones or are we?
We are.
We are.
Doesn't a
all
scale
metric?
from 0 to 100 make a lot more sense than a scale that goes from 32 to 212?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Same with millimeters and meters in kilometers. You know,
Yeah.
hey, it's 1,000 of these equals 1 of these. 1,000 of those equals 1 of these. We have 12 inches in a foot, and then 3 feet in a yard, and then 1,000 some hundred and something yards in a mile.
Yeah.
It makes 0 sense whatsoever. Now that's all English, though. They in England they also use the English system.
They do.
Because
They don't
we
use them. They don't
we
use
use the English system.
It's their system.
That's their system that we're
Makes
using.
sense.
It's the rest of the world that uses the
metric.
metric system that makes a lot more sense.
It does.
Unless you grew up here and got indoctrinated in
Yes.
Fahrenheit and yards and miles and stuff. That doesn't make sense to the rest of the world.
I'm going to England in July. So I did look at the high temp over there when I go in July is going to be like 65 degrees.
Hopefully
It
not
gets-
Celsius, or you'll
They'll be
immediately
dead.
die.
No, 65 Fahrenheit. Oh, yeah, stone is a good one. They say, oh, how much do you weigh? Oh, I'm 10 stone. What in the world is that?
How many fathoms deep is your pool?
What does stone mean?
It's stone is some amount of pounds, I believe.
Does anybody know?
Which, of course, there's 16 ounces in a pound. How does that make any sense? Where did you come up with all of these these non-metric measurements that we use?
So I'm 220 pounds. How many stone am
I don't know. Let's Google it. I'm sure you can, just like Google Translate. How many stone is Woods?
15.7. I like the sound of that better.
You sound very light.
Yeah.
I'm less than 16 stone.
Yeah, I'm under 16 stone right now.
That means, Frankie, you lost, like 3 or 4 stone already.
Yeah, you did.
Or I've lost like a little bit more than 2 25-pound turkeys.
Oh,
fair
that's
enough.
good. Well,
Did you
think
give
about how
those-
heavy those things are.
Exactly.
Think how heavy those
Yep.
things are.
How many stone are they?
I don't know.
Did you give away the Aztec tickets?
No, I am
No,
giving
we
away
have
the
not.
Aztec
Oh, you're doing
tickets
that here.
right now.
All right.
For Saturday's game, it's the season finale. Celebrating this year's team at Snapdragon Stadium. If you want to win a pair, third caller, 833-288-0973. You can see the Aztecs take on Air Force. Wrap up their season, hopefully on a high note, build some momentum for next season, year 2 under Sean Lewis, 833-288-0973. Your chance to win.
How much is a quid? Yeah, it's 20 quid. Okay, great. Here, I'm going to open my wallet. You take what you think you need. That's what I'm going to do.
Quid's like is a dollar?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
Or
have
pound. They have a pound.
What about a pence?
A
No
hay
idea.
penny?
I'll be reading like an almanac or something on my way, or not an almanac, like a British dictionary, because I'm not going to have any idea what I'm doing over there.
Final segment of the show is coming up. You had something that you wanted to bring up?
I had got in a massive rabbit hole. Have you heard about the guy that faked his own death to get away from his wife and kids, and has now been found and has now released an actual audio statement?
Oh, really?
After letting his wife and kids think he was dead. It's fascinating, and I am riveted, and we have the audio.
That's where we wrap things up next year with Bennett Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I'm sure we'll have some reaction to it around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Now, I have not really followed this story. I heard about it, and I don't know the details. Woodsy's going to fill us in a little bit. I think everybody on Earth knows what it feels like to just want to get away from whatever for a minute.
Sure.
Your responsibilities, your work, your life. Just, hey, I would love to just, get away for a minute. Most of us can't. We've got responsibilities, and we are generally responsible people. What I don't understand, though, is even if you had that desire, the fact that there would be people out there like worrying about you and not knowing, I just can't even imagine someone who did this. So
this is fascinating. There's a guy in Wisconsin. He was in Wisconsin. He's now in Eastern Europe. His name is Ryan Borgwart, which is such a mouthful. 44 years old. He went missing. He's a father of 3. He married father of 3, and he went missing in allegedly in a local lake. They found responding officers found an overturned kayak, fishing gear, and a life jacket floating on the water. His car was nearby, but he himself was nowhere to be found. The water is deep at the lake he was in, depth of 200 feet. They sent divers out. They sent search parties out for 54 days. Then it occurs to Canadian authorities, because they're up close to Canada, let's run the information through the database and see if he pops up. Well, it did. He went through there. They received Borgwart had applied and received a duplicate passport, claiming his original copy had been lost. His wife was easily able to find his old passport inside their house, but he had crossed through Canada, and they had a record of it. So then they went into his laptop, and they found out he had been communicating with a woman in Uzbekistan. And he had laid out a well-planned escape route, and he was going to meet her there. There were searches on his Google of how to transfer money to an offshore account. Again, you're leaving a very large digital footprint behind you when you do this. I feel like if you're going to do it, you need to just go. Right? You need to go and find a way to start over. When you're searching, how does one transfer money to offshore accounts?
how does one stage their own death in a lake?
How does one cross the border in Canada without getting caught? So here's the worst part. The guy's got a wife and kids at home that now think, oh, Dad, he's dead. Dad died. Dad drowned in that lake, and people are out there searching for him for almost 2 months. So the sheriff's office said, man, this obviously just doesn't add up, and we're not going to give up on this case. And they took it to Big News, and Big News took it to, and it's blown up. It's all over the internet. Well, the other day, randomly, I'm on Twitter. I'd gone down this rabbit hole, and randomly the other day, there was an update to the story. And it's a video message from him.
Oh, wait. We're going to hear that video message, at least the audio portion of it, right after our last check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Video or heard it. This will be the first time that I've heard it. I can't even imagine what you could possibly say that if you've been found out that that's what you've done, staged, faked your own death, and then run off to parts unknown, possibly Uzbekistan,
Eastern Europe,
to leave your family for another person. What? I mean, I understand that it's that kind of thing has happened.
Sure.
But what can you say once you've done it and you've been found out? Let's hear from him.
Good evening, it's Ryan Borgwart. Hello, Matt. Today is November 11th, It's approximately 10 a.m. by you guys. I'm in my apartment. I am safe, secure. Good evening.
Oh, what happened? That's the end of it?
Yeah, that was it.
He says, I'm safe, secure.
Secure.
And then you missed this part. I don't know why it didn't come through, but he says, I'm safe, secure. And then he goes, no problem. Just like that. And that's the part that jumped off the page at
No
me.
problem.
Guys, I'm here.
No problem.
I'm at my apartment. I'm safe. I'm secure. No problem.
No problem.
So the sheriff, where he's from, was like, look, you got to let everybody know that you're okay. They've been in contact together, and people asking, like, is this guy in trouble? Are you going to be in trouble?
Is it a crime? I mean,
the answer is no. They said, well, he could be charged with obstructing the investigation into his disappearance. But they said probably at most what he would have to do is pay back what they have spent on looking for him, which is about $35,000. But he is, I guess, reluctant to come home, not because of his wife and kids ready to murder him. Oh, Dad, gone for a couple of months.
This is going to be a story for future
Oh,
Thanksgivings.
yeah. So,
remember,
look who's here.
Remember the year when Dad faked his death.
What do you do if you're like his father-in-law and he walks in on Thanksgiving? Well, look who's here. Welcome back. How was your
Look
trip?
who the cat dragged
look
in.
what the cat dragged in this morning. Can I fix you a plate, Ryan? What can I do for you? Bro, do you ever do that thing at home where, like, if you're out of town or something and then you come home? So in my house, if I go, like, I'm going to fantasy camp in January, for about a week before, I am like, hello, my baby, doing everything I can around the house just to make sure the transition is seamless. Then when you get home, the minute you get home, you're like, hey, is there anything you need me to pitch in and do? You need to fold some clothes? Or here, let me cook dinner. Let me get the kids. What is this guy's life like if he goes back? For the rest of his life, what's his wife going to do? Could you...
Fine, you can have a girls' night on Thursdays.
Yeah.
We're good.
She's like, I'm going out tonight. He's like, are you sure? Dude, it's so sad. Like, it's sad, obviously, that he felt like he needed to get away. The most interesting part of this whole thing is, and we don't have the audio of this, but it's one of the weirdest parts of it. Dude was on a bike riding around, Ben, Mission Beach, the San Diego connection. And you know how people now, their favorite thing to do is they go out on the street with a microphone. That's how we got Hawk Tua and, everything else. A girl is out interviewing people about relationships on Mission Beach. And homeboy pulls up on a bike. And I'm not sure.
This post-disappearance
I think this is
pre-disappearance? Okay.
And there's actually evidence of him talking to her. And she's like, so, tell me about your relationship. He goes, I don't know. It's not really happy. And she's like, well, you should get a divorce, and then you could leave. He's like, maybe I met somebody else. Maybe they're in a foreign country. And it goes on for about 5 minutes, and it's really, really fascinating. But, yeah, dude left, has been found, and is now saying, hey, I'm okay. But the reason why he doesn't know if he wants to come home, he's mad. He's afraid of what the people in the town are going to think about him and do to him. But if you're his wife, do you take him back? I don't think you do. How do you forgive your dad for that? Like, there's nothing he can say to you where you're like, all right, I guess I understand. Mom is a bit of a ball breaker. I get it. I get why you had to leave. Bo and Taylor wouldn't understand. And I have been so fascinated by this story.
I have a bigger question.
Sure.
Why go through all this when you could
just get a divorce?
Just get a divorce.
Get a divorce. Man. Cut your losses. There will be some losses, right? It will be hard on the kids. It's not going to be as hard on the kids as them thinking you're dead, right?
Right.
That's going to be...
Now, there are some people...
That's much harder.
...in the camp of don't like confrontation.
Correct.
And will do just about anything to avoid
this is like
a confrontation. This would probably be the ultimate example of confrontation avoidance.
I've never seen a more extreme circumstance than this. Yeah, we've all gone out of our way to avoid a certain person. You see, like, oh, look who's here. I don't feel like this today. I'm just gonna walk around him, right? You see it at Little League and stuff like that. You're like, I don't need to go get in this confrontation. I'm just gonna avoid it. No problem. I'm gonna turn over a kayak. I'm going to wire money, and then I'm going to go to, and I don't think he actually ever, I don't know that this person in Uzbekistan actually existed because now he's living over there by himself, I think somewhere else.
Well, ultimately, even though he may not be technically guilty of a crime, it's always, you know who always gets you in the end, just like Al Capone. The IRS. All you had to do was wait until he didn't file his taxes for being dead, and then they could get him for tax evasion the next year.
He's toast. I mean, again, how does that walk back in the door look for him? Just a sheepish grin? Sorry, guys. I kind of lost it there for a minute, but I'm back, and I'm ready to be your dad and your husband again.
But if you're trying, as you said, I hate confrontation also. So if you're trying to avoid a confrontation and then you have these realizations of, oh my God, the town's going to hate me.
Yeah.
Like why? Why would you create more confrontation?
You know what?
More confrontation.
All he has to do is fake his death again.
Yes, yeah. This time he's really.
There it is. He's in Uzbekistan. It shouldn't be all that hard.
He's, work out all the kinks. Trial run is over. And now here comes the real death faking.
They're not going to believe it till they go up and poke him in the coffin. Until like, did you really go? I don't know, man. I was fascinated by it. Not because I have ever had any grand illusions or fantasies about anything like that ever.
So Satan's Blowfish reminds us, Carol Baskin.
Yes.
And she supposedly had a dead husband who turned up. And this was during our Corona Cave days. What was his name? What was the show?
Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Dude, Olivia Newton-John's husband did this. He faked his own death as well. How does that make you feel as a partner? Like, oh, I'm so bad that they had to fake their own death to get away from me.
Are we sure that Paul is in Las Vegas?
Oh, no, I'm sure. I've seen the picture. That cocktail he sent us last night looked amazing.
Not an elaborate.
No, it's not an elaborate ruse
that he's pulling off on us to get away.
He could be there. He could be there interviewing with the Raiders right now. For all we know, we have not heard, but you never know. But I do think Paulie is alive and well.
Yes, I saw the views of the Strip and the Bellagio
amazing.
Fountains from the Cosmo, the smoked cocktail that
looked delicious.
Had at dinner last night. I hope he's having an excellent time. Didn't know what he was leaving. Me missing
train wreck
90 minutes of the show today, and Wood stepping in, and Frank doing a great job. Appreciate both of you. And we have just one more show left this week. That would be tomorrow.
Yeah, dude. Thanks
leading into the Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you for coming in today. You are a hero. I would not have made it.
I wouldn't go that far.
You're a hero.
I did my job.
I don't know what the radio version of like a Purple Heart is, but if I had one, I would give one to you today because you really are a hero.
Tired later.
You're gonna be tired later.
Might be tired tomorrow morning, too.
Might be tired tomorrow morning.
We'll see how I drag myself in.
I'll do the heavy lifting tomorrow.
And that'll be it for our week. Annie and Elston are coming up next. For Frank Marchese, for Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Tuesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.